that sounds good.
Hey, Derek.
Yeah.
Derek,
Page number.
you're in the shadow. Could we see your face a little bit more illuminated? Much better, much better. Thank you. Who are we missing?
I think all of our company is here.
Patrick.
I believe so. I mean, Patrick, right. You're right. Where's Patrick? Okay. That sounds good. Hey, Derek.
Derek?
Yeah.
You're in the shadow. Could we see your face a little bit more illuminated?
You're playing me back. There's an echo.
How's that? Who are we missing?
Patrick.
I think all of our company is here.
Patrick.
Hi, Paula.
I believe so.
Hi.
Oh, Patrick, right. You're right. Where's Patrick? Okay. That sounds good.
Okay, yes, somebody has.
People using their wonderful headshots.
Shadow. Could we see your face a little bit more illuminated?
There's an echo in the room.
Yeah, I think I've taken care of that.
All the company is here. Shall we begin?
Let me see. Let's give it one more minute for Patrick. I will email him, and
So we're missing one person.
I will read Duke of York until he shows up. Hold on just a second.
Put this here.
Waiting for you! Exclamation point.
Yeah, I don't see him in that.
Does anybody have Patrick's number?
Oh wait, I think he just he's here. He just came in the attendee link. I'm just about to promote him, and he will be panelist, and then we begin. Okay, yeah, we're promoting him to panelist. Yeah, welcome everyone to Zoom. We're going to be just starting our reading. All of our readers are here now. Now that Patrick is here. Or he should be here. There's this thing where you come in, some of you were like promoted, and then I think you sort of go away and then he comes back, but he's not showing. Is he showing up as panelist yet? Yeah, he should be. Yeah, he's here. All right. Yeah, Jonathan, if you want to say anything before we begin, or just dive right in.
No, I would like to thank Thomas for urging me to cast this play, because I didn't know it before, and now I know it and I love it. And let me see. I'm very grateful to you all for giving up a beautiful afternoon. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun, because everybody here is a wonderful reader. So anyway, enter King Richard, John of Gaunt, with other nobles and attendants.
Oh, John of Gaunt, time-honored Lancaster, hast thou, according to thy oath and band, brought hither Henry Hefford, thy bold son, here to make good your boisterous late appeal, which then our leisure would not let us hear, against the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray?
I have, my liege.
Oh, tell me moreover, hast thou sounded him if he appealed the Duke on ancient malice, or worthily, as a good subject should, on some known ground of treachery in him?
Well, as near as I could sift him on that argument, and on some apparent danger seen in him, aimed at your highness, no inveterate malice.
Then call them to our presence face to face, and frowning brow to brow, ourselves will hear the accuser and the accused freely speak. High stomached are they both, and full of ire, enraged, deaf as the sea, hasty as fire.
Enter Bolingbroke and Mowbray.
Many years of happy days befall my gracious sovereign, my most loving liege.
Each day still better others' happiness, until the heavens, envying earth's good hap, add an additional immortal title to your crown.
We thank you both, yet one but flatters us, as well appeareth by the cause you come, namely to appeal each other of high treason. Cousin Hereford, what dost thou object against the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray?
First, heaven be the record to my speech. In the devotion of a subject's love, tendering the precious safety of my prince, and free from other misbegotten hate, come I appellant to this princely present. Now, Thomas Mowbray, do I turn to thee, and mark my greeting well, for what I speak my body shall make good upon this earth, or my divine soul answer it in heaven. Thou art a traitor and a miscreant, too good to be so and too bad to live, since the more fair and crystal is the sky, the uglier seem the clouds that in it fly. Once more, the more to aggravate the note with a foul traitor's name, stuff I thy throat and wish, so please my sovereign, ere I move, what my tongue speaks, my right drawn sword may prove.
Let not my cold words here accuse my zeal. 'Tis not the trial of a woman war. Of a woman's war, the bitter clamor of two eager tongues can arbitrate this cause betwixt us twain. The blood is hot that must be cooled for this. Yet can I not of such tame patience boast as to be hushed and naught at all to say. First, the fair reverence of your highness curbs me from giving reins and spurs to my free speech, which else would post, until it had returned these teams of treason doubly down his throat, setting aside his high blood's royalty, and let him be no kinsman to thy liege. I do defy him, and I spit at him. Call him a slanderous coward and a villain, which to maintain I would allow him odds, and meet him were I tied to run afoot, even to the frozen ridges of the Alps, or any other ground inhabitable wherever Englishman durst set his foot. Meantime, let this defend my loyalty. By all my hopes, most falsely doth he lie.
Pale trembling coward, there I throw my gage, disclaiming here the kindred of a king, and lay aside my high blood's royalty, which fear, not reverence, makes thee to accept. If guilty dread hath left thee so much strength as to take up mine honor's pawn, then stoop. By that, and all the rights of knighthood else will I make good against thee, arm to arm, what I have spoken, or thou canst devise.
I take it up. And by that sword I swear, which gently laid my knighthood on my shoulder, I'll answer thee in any fair degree, or chivalrous design, or of knightly trial. And when I mount alive, may I not light if I be traitor or unjustly fight.
What dost our cousin lay to Mowbray's charge? It must be great that can inherit us so much as a thought of ill in him.
Look what I said, my life shall prove it true. That Mowbray hath received 8,000 nobles in name of lending for your highness soldiers, the which he hath detained for lewd employments, like a false traitor and injurious villain. Besides, I say and will in battle prove, or here or elsewhere to the furthest verge that ever was surveyed by English eye, that all the treasons for these 18 years complotted and contrived in this land, fetched from false Mowbray their first head and spring. Further I say, and further will maintain upon his bad life to make all this good, that he did plot the Duke of Gloucester's death, suggest his son, believing adversaries, and consequently, like a traitor coward, slussed out his innocent soul through streams of blood, which blood like sacrificing Abel's cries, even from the tongueless caverns of the earth, to me, for justice and rough chastisement. And by the glorious worth of my descent, this arm shall do it, or this life be spent.
How high a pitch his resolution soars! Thomas of Norfolk, what sayest thou to this?
Oh, let my sovereign turn away his face and bid his ears a little while be deaf, till I have told this slander of his blood, how God and good men hate so foul a liar.
Mowbray impartial are our eyes and ears. Were he my brother, nay, our kingdom's heir, as he is but my father's brother's son, now by my scepter's oar I make a vow. Such neighbor nearness to our sacred blood should nothing privilege him, nor partialize the unstooping firmness of my upright soul. He is our subject, Mowbray, so art thou. Free speech and fearless, I to thee allow.
Then, Bolingbroke, as low as to thy heart through the false passage of thy throat, thou liest. 3 parts of that receipt I had for Callus disbursed I to his highness soldiers, the other part reserved I by consent, for that my sovereign liege was in my debt upon remainder of a dear account, since last I went to France to fetch his queen. Now swallow down that lie. For Gloucester's death I slew him not, but to mine own disgrace neglected my sworn duty in that case. For you, my noble lord of Lancaster, the honorable father to my foe, once I did lay an ambush for your life, a trespass that doth vex my grieved soul. But ere I last received the sacrament, I did confess it, and exactly begged your grace's pardon, and I hope I had it. This is my fault. As for the rest, appeal did issue from the rancor of a villain, a recreant, and most degenerate traitor, which in myself I boldly will defend, and interchangeably hurl down my gage upon this overweening traitor's foot, to prove myself a loyal gentleman, even in the best blood chambered in his bosom. In hast whereof, most heartily I pray your highness to assign our trial day.
Wrath kindle, gentlemen, be ruled by me. Let's purge this choler without letting blood. This we prescribe, though no physician. Deep malice makes too deep incision. Forget, forgive, conclude, and be agreed. Our doctors say, this is no time to bleed. Good uncle, let this end where it begun. We'll calm the Duke of Norfolk, you, your son.
John of Gaunt. Angus?
Earl John of Gaunt, are you there?
To be a peacemaker, make peace?
Oh, he's muted.
There.
He's muted.
To be a makepeace shall become my age. Throw down, my son, the Duke of Norfolk's gage.
And Norfolk throw down his.
When, Harry, when? Obedience bids. Obedience bids, I should not bid again.
Norfolk throw down, we bid. There is no boot.
Myself I throw, dread sovereign, at thy foot. My life thou shalt command, but not my shame. The one my duty owes, but my fair name, despite of death that lives upon my grave, to dark dishonors use, thou shalt not have. I am disgraced, impeached, and baffled here, pierced to the soul with slander's venomed spear, the which no balm can cure, but his heart blood which breathed this poison.
Rage must be withstood. Give me his gage. Lions make leopards tame.
Yea, but not change his spots. Take but my shame, and I resign my gage. My dear, dear lord, the purest treasure mortal times afford is spotless reputation. That away men are but gilded loam on painted clay. A jewel in a 10 times barred up chest is a bold spirit in a loyal breast. Mine honor is my life. Both grow in one. Take honor from me, and my life is done. Then, dear my liege, mine honor let me try, in that I live. For that, and for that will I die.
Cousin, throw down your gage. Do you begin?
O heaven, defend my soul from such foul sin. Shall I seem crestfallen in my father's sight? Or with pale beggar fear impeach my height before this outdarred dastard? Ere my tongue shall wound mine honor with such feeble wrong, or sound so base a paw, my teeth shall tear the slavish motive of recanting fear, and spit it, bleeding in his high disgrace. Where shame doth harbor, e'en in Mowbray's face.
We were not born to serve but to command, which since we cannot do to make you friends, be ready, as your lives shall answer it. At Coventry upon St. Lambert's Day, there shall your swords and lances arbitrate the swelling difference of your settled hate. Since we cannot atone you, you shall see justice design the victor's chivalry. Lord Marshal, command our officers at arms be ready to direct these home alarms.
Scene 2. Enter Gaunt and Duchess of Gloucester.
Alas, the part I had in Gloucester's blood doth more solicit me than your exclaims to stir against the butchers of his life. But since correction lieth in those hands which made the fault that we cannot correct, put we our quarrel to the will of heaven, who, when they see the hours ripe on earth, will rain hot vengeance on offenders' heads.
Finds brotherhood in thee no sharper spur? Hath love in thy old blood no living fire? Edward's 7 sons, whereof thyself art one, were as 7 vials of his sacred blood, or 7 fair branches springing from one root. Some of those 7 are dried by nature's course, some of those branches by the destiny's cut. But Thomas, my dear lord, my life, my Gloucester, one vial full of Edward's sacred blood, one flourishing branch of his most royal root is cracked, and all the precious liquor spilt is hacked down, and his summer leaves all vaded by envy's hand and murder's bloody axe. Oh, God, his blood was thine, that bed, that womb, that metal, that self-mold that fashioned thee made him a man. And though thou liv'st and breath'st, yet art thou slain in him. Thou dost consent in some large measure to thy father's death, in that thou seest thy wretched brother die, who was the model of thy father's life. Call it not patience, Gaunt. It is despair. In suffering thus thy brother to be slaughtered, thou show'st the naked pathway to thy life, teaching stern murder how to butcher thee. That which in mean men we entitle patience is pale, cold cowardice in noble breasts. What shall I say? To safeguard thine own life, the best way is to avenge my Gloucester's death.
Heaven's is the quarrel. For heaven's substitute, his deputy anointed in his sight, hath caused his death, the which, if wrongfully, let heaven revenge. For I may never lift an angry arm against his minister.
Where then, alas, may I complaint myself?
To heaven, the widow's champion in my to defense.
Then I will. Farewell, old Gaunt. Thou goest to Coventry, there to behold our cousin Hereford and fell Mowbray fight. Sit my husband's wrongs on Hereford's spear, that it may enter butcher Mowbray's breast. Or if misfortune miss the first career, be Mowbray's sins so heavy in his bosom that they may break his foaming courser's back and throw the rider headlong in the lists. A caitiff recreant to my cousin Hereford. Oh, farewell, old Gaunt, thy sometimes brother's wife with her companion grief must end her life.
Sister, farewell. I must to Coventry, as much good stay with thee as go with me.
Yet one word more. Grief boundeth where it falls, not with the empty hollows, but weight. I take my leave, but before I have begun, for sorrow ends not when it seemeth done. Oh, commend me to my brother Edmund York. Lo, this is all. Yea, not depart not so, though this be all. Do not so quickly go. I shall remember more. Bid him, oh, what? With all good speed at Plashy visit me. Alack, and what shall good old York there see but empty lodgings and unfurnished walls, unpeopled offices, untrodden stones? And what hear there for welcome but my groans? Therefore commend me, let him not come there to seek out sorrow that dwells everywhere, desolate, desolate will I hence and die, that last leave of thee takes my weeping eye.
Exeunt. Third scene. Enter Marshal and O'Merrill.
My lord O'Merrill, is Harry Hereford armed?
Yeah, and at all points and longs to enter in.
The Duke of Norfolk, spitefully and bold, stays but the summons of the appellant's trumpet.
Why then the champions are prepared and stay for nothing but his majesty's approach.
Marshal,
Busby, Bagot, Green, and others. Then Mowbray in armor and herald.
Marshal, demand of yonder champion the cause of his arrival here in arms. Ask him his name, and orderly proceed to swear him in the justice of his cause.
In God's name and the king's, say who thou art, and why thou comest thus knightly clad in arms. Against what man thou comest, and what's thy quarrel? Speak truly on thy knighthood and thine oath, as so defend thee heaven and thy valor.
My name is Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, who hither comes engaged by my oath, which heaven defend a knight should violate, both to defend my loyalty and truth to God, my king, and his succeeding issue, against the Duke of Hereford that appeals me. And by the grace of God and this mine arm to prove him in defending of myself a traitor to my God, my king, and me. And as I truly fight, defend me heaven.
Pocket. Enter Hereford and Harold.
Marshal, ask yonder knight in arms both who he is and why he cometh hither, thus placed in habiliments of war, and formally, according to our law, depose him in the justice of his cause.
What is thy name, and wherefore comest thou hither before King Richard in his royal lists? Against whom comest thou, and what's thy quarrel? Speak like a true knight, so defend thee heaven.
Harry of Hereford, Lancaster, and Derby am I, who ready here do stand in arms, to prove by heaven's grace and my body's valor, in lists, on Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, that he's a traitor foul and dangerous, to God of heaven, King Richard, and to me, and as I truly fight, defend me heaven.
On pain of death, no person be so bold or daring hardy as to touch the lists, except the marshal and such officers appointed to direct these fair designs.
Lord Marshal, let me kiss my sovereign's hand and bow my knee before his majesty. For Mowbray and myself are like two men that vow a long and weary pilgrimage. Then let us take a ceremonious leave and loving farewell of our several friends.
The appellant in all duty greets your highness, and craves to kiss your hand and take his leave.
We will descend and fold him in our arms, cousin of Hereford. As thy cause is just, so be thy fortune in this royal fight. Farewell, my blood, which if today thou shed, lament we may, but not revenge thee dead.
Oh, let no noble eye profane a tear for me if I be gorged with Mowbray's spear. As confident as is the falcon's flight against a bird, do I with Mowbray fight. My loving lord, I take my leave of you, my noble cousin, Lord O'Merrill, not sick, although I have to do with death, but lusty, young, and cheerily drawing breath. Lo, as the English feast, so I regret the daintiest last to make the end most sweet. O thou, the earthly author of my blood, whose youthful spirit in me regenerate, doth with a twofold rigor lift me up to reach at victory above my head. Add proof unto mine armor with thy prayers, and with thy blessing steel my lance's point, that it may enter Mowbray's waxen coat and furnish new the name of John a Gaunt, in the lusty behavior of his son.
Heaven and thy good cause make thee prosperous. Be swift like lightning in the execution, and let thy blows doubly redoubled fall like amazing thunder on the cast of thy amazed pernicious enemy. Rouse up thy youthful blood, be valiant, and live.
My innocence and St. George to thrive.
However heaven or fortune cast my lot, there lives or dies true to King Richard's throne, a loyal, just, and upright gentleman. Never did captive with a freer heart cast off his chains of bondage and embrace his golden uncontrolled enfranchisement more than my dancing soul doth celebrate this feast of battle, which mine adversary, most mighty liege, and my companion peers take from my mouth the wish of happy years, as gentle and as jocund as to jest go I to fight. Truth hath a quiet breast.
Farewell, my lord, securely I espy virtue with valor couched in thine eye. Order the child, marshal, and begin.
Harry of Hereford, Lancaster, and Derby, receive thy lance, and heaven defend thy right.
Strong as a tower in hope, I cry, Amen.
Go, bear this lance to Thomas, Duke of Norfolk.
Harry of Hereford, Lancaster, and Derby, stand here for God, his sovereign, and himself, on pain to be found false and recreant, to prove the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Mowbray, a traitor to his God, his king, and him, and dares him to set forwards to the fight.
Here standeth Thomas Mowbray, Duke of Norfolk, on pain to be found false and recreant, both to defend himself and to approve Henry of Hereford, Lancaster, and Derby, to God, his sovereign, and to him disloyal, contagiously and with a free desire, attending but the signal to begin.
Sound trumpets, and set forward combatants. Hey, the king hath thrown his water down.
Let them lay by their helmets and their spears, and both return back to their chairs again. Withdraw with us, and let the trumpets sound while we return these dukes what we decree. Draw near, and list what with our counsel we have done, for that our kingdom's earth should not be soiled with that dear blood which it hath fostered, and for our eyes to hate the dire aspect of civil wounds ploughed up with neighbors' swords, which so roused up with boisterous untuned drums, with harsh resounding trumpets' dreadful bray, and grating shock of wrathful iron arms, might from our quiet confines fright fair peace, and make us wade even in our kindred's blood. Therefore, we banish you our territories, you, cousin Hereford, upon pain of death, till twice 5 summers have enriched our fields, shall not regreet our fair dominions, but tread the stranger paths of banishment.
Your will be done. This must my comfort be, that sun that warms you here shall shine on me, and those his golden beams to you here lent shall point on me and gild my banishment.
Norfolk, for thee remains a heavier doom, which I with some unwillingness pronounce. The sly, slow hours shall not determinate the dateless limits of thy dear exile. The hopeless word of never to return breathe I against thee upon pain of life.
A heavy sentence, my most sovereign liege, and all unlooked for from your highness' mouth. A dearer merit, not so deep a maim as to be cast forth in the common air, have I deserved at your highness' hands. The language I have learned these 40 years, my native English, now I must forego, and now my tongue's use is to me no more than an unstringed viol, or a harp, or a cunning instrument cased up, or being open put into his hands, that knows no touch to tune the harmony. Within my mouth you have enjailed my tongue, doubly perculist with my teeth and lips, and dull, unfeeling, barren ignorance has made my jailer to attend on me. I am too old to fawn upon a nurse, too far in years to be a pupil now. What is my sentence then but speechless death, which robs my tongue from breathing native breath?
It boots thee not to be compassionate. After our sentence, plaining comes too late.
Then thus I turn me from my country's light to dwell in solemn shades of endless night.
Return again and take an oath with thee. Lay on our royal sword your banished hands, Swear by the duty that you owe to heaven. Our part therein we banish with yourselves, to keep the oath that we administer. You never shall, so help you truth in heaven, embrace each other's love in banishment, nor ever look upon each other's face, nor ever write, regret, or reconcile this lowering tempest of your homebred hate, nor ever be advised by advised purpose meet to plot, contrive, or complot any ill against us, our state, our subjects, or our land.
I swear.
And I to keep all this.
Norfolk, so fair as to mine enemy, by this time had the king permitted us, one of our souls had wandered in the ire, banished this frail sepulchre of our flesh, and now our flesh is banished from this land. Confess thy treasons ere thou fly this realm, since thou hast far to go. Bear not alone the clogging burden of a guilty soul.
No, Bolingbroke. If ever I were traitor, my name be blotted from the book of life, and I from heaven banished as from hence. But what thou art, heaven thou and I do know, and all too soon I fear the king shall rue. Farewell, my liege. Now no way can I stray, save back to England, all the world's my way.
Mowbray exits.
Uncle, even in the glasses of thine eyes, I see thy grieved heart, thy sad aspect hath from the number of his banished years plucked 4 away. 6 frozen winters spent, return with welcome home from banishment.
How long a time lies in one little word. 4 lagging winters and 4 wanton springs end in a word. Such is the breath of kings.
I thank my liege that in regard of me he shortens 4 years of my son's exile. But little vantage shall I reap thereby, for ere the 6 years that he hath to spend can change their moons and bring their times about, my oil-dried lamp and time-bewasted light shall be extinct with age, endless night. My inch of taper will be burnt and done, and blindfold death not let me see my son.
My uncle, thou hast many years to live.
But not a minute, king, that thou canst give. Shorten my days thou canst with sudden sorrow, and pluck nights from me, but not lend a morrow. Thou canst help time to furrow me with age, stop no wrinkle from his pilgrimage. Thy word is current with him for my death, but dead, thy kingdom cannot buy my breath.
Thy son is banished upon good advice, whereto thy tongue a party verdict gave. Why at our justice seems to lour?
Things sweet to taste prove indigestion sour. You urged me as a judge, but I had rather you would have bid me argue like a father. Alas, I looked when some of you should say I was too strict to make mine own away, but you gave leave to my unwilling tongue against my will to do myself this wrong.
Cousin, farewell, and uncle bid him so. 6 years we banish him, and he shall go.
The king exits. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum, ba-da-bum-bum-bum.
Cousin, farewell. What presence must not know from where you do remain, let paper show.
Marshal.
My lords, no leave take I, for I will ride as far as land will let me by your side.
Oh, to what purpose dost thou hoard thy words, that thou returnst no greeting to thy friends?
I have too few to take my leave of you, when the tongue's office should be prodigal to breathe the abundant dolour of the heart.
My grief is but thy absence for a time.
Joy absent, grief is present for that time.
What is 6 winters? They are quickly gone.
To men enjoy, but grief makes 1 hour 10.
Call it a travel, that thou takest for pleasure.
My heart will sigh when I miscall it so, which finds it an enforced pilgrimage.
The southern passage of thy weary steps Esquima soil, wherein thou art to set the precious jewel of thy home return.
Oh, who can hold a fire in his hand by thinking on the frosty Caucasus? Or cloy the hungry edge of appetite by bare imagination of a feast? Or wallow in naked December snow by thinking on fantastic summer's heat? Oh no, the apprehension of the good gives but the greater feeling to the worse. Fell sorrow's tooth doth ever rankle more than when it bites, but lanceth not the sore.
Come, come, my son, I'll bring thee on thy way. Had I thy youth and cause, I would not stay.
Then England's ground farewell, sweet soil adieu, my mother and my nurse, which bears me yet. Where'er I wander, boast of this I can, though banished, yet a true-born Englishman.
Scene 4. Enter the king, O'Merrill, Green, and Bagot.
We did observe, cousin O'Merrill. How far brought you High Hereford on his way?
I brought High Hereford, if you call him so, but to the next highway, and there I left him.
And say what store of parting tears were shed?
Faith, none for me, except the northeast wind, which then grew bitterly against our face, awaked the sleepy rue, and so by chance did grace our hollow parting with a tear.
What said our cousin when you parted with him?
Farewell. And for my heart disdained my tongue should so profane the word that taught me craft to counterfeit oppression of such grief, that word seemed buried in my sorrow's grave. Marry, would the word farewell have lengthened hours and added years to his short banishment, he should have had a volume of farewells. But since it would not, he had none of me.
He is our cousin, but 'tis doubts when time shall call him home from banishment, whether our kinsman come to see his friends, ourself and Bushy, here, Bagot and Green, observed his courtship to the common people. How he did seem to dive into their hearts with humble and familiar courtesy. What reverence he did throw away on slaves, wooing poor craftsmen with the craft of soul, and patient underbearing of his fortune, as 'twere to banish their effects with him. Off goes his bonnet to an oyster wedge. A brace of draymen bid God speed him well, and had the tribute of his supple knee. With thanks, my countrymen, my loving friends, as were our England in reversion his, and he our subjects' next degree of hope.
Well, he is gone, and with him go these thoughts. Now for the rebels which stand out in Ireland, expedient manage must be made, my liege, ere further leisure yield them further means for their advantage, and your highness loss.
We will ourselves in person to this war, and for our coffers, with too great a court, liberal largesse are grown somewhat light, we are enforced to farm our royal realm, the revenue whereof shall furnish us for our affairs in hand. If that come short, our substitutes at home shall have blank charters, whereto, when they shall know what men are rich, they shall subscribe them for large sums of gold, and send them after to supply our wants. For we will make for Ireland presently.
Enter Bushy.
Bushy, what news?
Old John of Gaunt is very sick, my lord, suddenly taken, and hath sent post haste to entreat your majesty to visit him.
Where lies he?
At Ely House.
Now put it heaven in physician's mind to help him to his grave immediately. The lining of his coffers shall make coats to deck our soldiers for these Irish wars. Come, gentlemen, let's all go visit him. Pray heaven we may make haste and come too late.
Exit all. Second act, first scene. Enter Gaunt, sick, with York.
Will the king come that I may breathe my last in wholesome counsel to his unstayed youth?
Vex not yourself, nor strive not with your breath, for all in vain comes counsel to his ear.
But they say the tongues of dying men enforce attention like deep harmony. The words are scarce, they are seldom spent in vain. For they breathe truth that breathe their words in pain. He that no more must say is listen more than they whom youth and ease have taught to gloss. More are men's ends marked than their lives before. The setting sun and music in the close as the last taste of sweets is sweetest last. Writ in remembrance more than things long past. O Richard, my life's counsel would not hear. My death's sad tale may yet undeaf his ear.
No, it is stopped with other flattering sounds, as praises of his state. Then there are found lascivious meters, to whom's venom sound the open ear of youth doth always listen. Reports of fashions in proud Italy, whose manners still our tardy apish nation limps after in base imitation. Where doth the world thrust forth a vanity, so it be new, there's no respect how vile, that is not quickly buzzed into his ears, that all too late comes counsel to be heard? Where will doth mutiny with wit's regard? Direct him not, whose way himself will choose, his breath thou lack'st, and that breath wilt thou lose.
Methinks I am a prophet, new inspired, and thus expiring do foretell of him. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last, for violent fires soon burn out themselves. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short. He tires betimes, that spurs too fast betimes. With eager feeding, food doth choke the feeder. Light vanity, insatiate cormorant, consuming means soon preys upon itself. This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, this earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for ourselves against infection and the hand of war, this happy breed of men, this little world, this precious stone set in the silver sea, which serves it in the office of a wall, or as a moat defensive to a house against the envy of less happier lands. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming womb of royal kings, feared by their breed and famous for their birth, renowned for their deeds, as far from home, for Christian service and true chivalry, as is the sepulchre and stubborn jury of the world's ransom. Blessed Mary's Son, the land of such dear souls. Yes, dear, dear land. Dear for her reputation through the world, is now leashed out. I die pronouncing it, like to a tenement or pelting farm. England bound in with the triumphant sea, whose rocky shore beats back the envious siege of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. That England that was wont to conquer others hath made a shameful conquest of itself. Oh, would the scandal vanish with my life, how happy then were my ensuing death.
Enter the king, the queen, O'Merrill, Bushy, Green, Bagot, Ross, and Willoughby.
The king is come, deal mildly with his youth, for young hot colts being raged, do rage the more.
How fares our noble Uncle Lancaster?
What comfort, man? How is it with aged Gaunt?
How that name befits my composition. Old Gaunt indeed, and gaunt in being old. Within me grief hath kept a tedious fast, and who abstains from meat that is not gaunt? For sleeping England long time have I watched, watching breeds leanness. Leanness is all gaunt. The pleasure that some fathers feed upon is my strict fast. I'm in my children's looks, and therein fasting hast thou made me gaunt. Gaunt am I for the grave, gaunt as a grave. whose hollow womb inherits naught but bones.
Can sick men play so nicely with their names?
No misery makes sport to mock itself. Since thou dost seek to kill my name in me, I mock my name, great king, to flatter thee.
Should dying men flatter those that live?
No, no, men living flatter those that die.
Thou, now a dying, sayest thou flatterest me?
No, no, thou diest, though I the sicker be.
I am in health, I breathe, I see thee ill.
Now he that made me knows I see thee ill. Ill in myself to see, and in thee seeing ill. My deathbed is no lesser than the land, wherein thou liest in reputation sick, and thou too, careless patient as thou art, commits thy anointed body to the cure of those physicians that first wounded thee. And flatterers sit within thy crown, whose compass is no bigger than thy head, and yet encaged in so small a bird, the waste is no whit lesser than thy land. Oh, had thy grandsire with a prophet's eye seen how his son's son destroy his sons, from forth thy reach he would have laid thy shame, deposing thee before thou wert possessed, which art possessed now to depose thyself. Ay, cousin, were thou regent of the world, but ashamed to let his land by lease, but for thy world enjoying but this land, is it not then shame to shame it so? Landlord of England art thou, but not king. Thy state of law is bond slave to the law, and
thou, a lunatic, lean-witted fool, presuming on an ague's privilege, darest thou with thy frozen admonition make pale our cheek, chasing the royal blood with fury from his native residence? Now, by my seat's majesty, wert thou not brother to great Edward's son, this tongue that runs so roundly in thy head should run thy head from thy unreverent shoulders.
Oh, spare me not, my brother Edward's son, for that I was his father, Edward's son. That blood already, like the pelican, thou hast tapped out and drunkenly caroused. My brother Gloucester, plain, well-meaning soul, whom fair befall in heaven amongst happy souls, may be a precedent and witness good that thou respects not spilling Edward's blood. Join with the present sickness that I have, and thy unkindness be like crooked age to crop at once a too long withered flower. Live in thy shame, but die not shame with thee. These words hereafter thy tormentors be. Convey me to my bed, then to my grave. Love that they live, love they that live, that love and honor have.
John of Gaunt exits.
Let them die that age and sullens have, for both hast thou, and both become the grave.
I do beseech your majesty, impute his words to wayward sickliness and age in him. He loves you on my life and holds you dear, as Harry, Duke of Hereford, were he here.
All right, you say true, as Hereford's love, so his. As theirs, so mine, and all be as it is.
Enter Northumberland.
My liege, old Gaunt commends him to your majesty.
Oh, what says he?
Nay, nothing. All is said. His tongue is now a stringless instrument, words, life, and all old Lancaster hath spent.
Be York the next, it must be bankrupt so, though death be poor, it ends a mortal woe.
Oh, the ripest fruit first falls, and so doth he. His time is spent, our pilgrimage must be. So much for that. Now for our Irish wars. We must supplant those rough, rugged kerns, which like venom, where no venom else, but only they have privilege to live. And for these great affairs do ask some charge towards our assistance. We do seize to us the plate, coin, revenues, and movables, whereof our uncle Gaunt did stand possessed.
How long shall I be patient? Oh, how long shall tender duty make me suffer wrong? Not Gloucester's death, nor Hereford's banishment, nor Gaunt's rebukes, nor England's private wrongs, nor the prevention of poor Bolingbroke about his marriage, nor my own disgrace, have ever made me sour my patient cheek, or been one wrinkle on my sovereign's face. I am the last of noble Edward's sons, of whom thy father, Prince of Wales, was first. In war was never lion raged more fierce, in peace was never gentle lamb more mild, than was that young and princely gentleman. His face thou hast, for even so looked he, accomplished with the number of thy hours. But when he frowned, it was against the French, and not against his friends. His noble hand did win what he did spend, and spent not that which his triumphant father's hand had won. His hands were guilty of no kindred's blood, bloody with the enemies of his kin. Oh, Richard, York is too far gone with grief, or else he would never compare between.
My uncle, what's the matter?
Ah, my liege, pardon me if you please. If not, I please not to be pardoned, and content with all. Seek you to seize and grip into your hands the royalties and rights of banished Hereford? Is not Gaunt dead? And doth not Hereford live? Was not Gaunt just? And is not Harry true? Did not the one deserve to have an heir? Is not his heir a well-deserving son? Take Hereford's right away, and take from time his charters and his customary rights. Let not tomorrow then ensue today. Be not thyself. For how art thou a king, but by fair sequence and succession? Now, for God forbid I say true, if you do wrongfully seize Hereford's right, call in his letters, patents that he hath, by his attorneys general, to sue his livery and deny his offered homage, you pluck 1,000 dangers on your head. You loose 1,000 well-disposed hearts, and prick my tender patience to those thoughts which honor and allegiance cannot think.
Think what you will. We seize into our hands his plate, his goods, his money, and his lands.
I'll not be by the wild. My liege, farewell. What will ensue thereof, there's none can tell, but by bad courses may be understood that their events can never fall out good.
Duke of York exits.
Go, Bushy, to the Earl of Wiltshire Estate, and bid him repair to us to Ely House to see this business. Tomorrow next we will for Ireland, and 'tis time, I trow, we create in absence of ourselves our Uncle York, Lord Governor of England, for he is just and always loved us well. Come on, our Queen, tomorrow must we part. Be merry, for our time of stay is short.
Northumberland remains, Willoughby remains, and Ross remain. Northumberland.
Lords, the Duke of Lancaster is dead.
And living too, for now his son is Duke.
Barely entitled.
And living too, for now his son is Duke. Barely in title, not in revenue.
Richly in both, if justice had her right.
My heart is great, but it must break with silence ere to be disturbed with liberal tongue.
Nay, speak thy mind, and let him ne'er speak more that speaks thy words again to thee harm.
Tends that thou wouldst speak to the Duke of Hereford? If it be so, out with it boldly, man. Quick is mine ear to hear of good towards him.
No good at all that I can do for him, unless you call it good to pity him, bereft and gelded of his patrimony.
Now, afore heaven, 'tis shame such wrongs are born. In him, a royal prince, and many more of noble blood in this declining land, the king is not himself, but basely led by flatterers, and what they will inform merely in hate against any of us all, that will the king severely prosecute against us, our lives, our children, and our heirs.
The commons hath he piled with grievous taxes, and quite lost their hearts. The nobles hath he fined for ancient quarrels, and quite lost their hearts.
And daily new exactions are devised, as blanks, benevolences, and I what not what. But what, O God's name, doth become of this?
War hath not wasted it, reward hath he not, but basely yielded upon compromise that which his ancestors achieved with blows. More hath he spent in peace than they in wars.
The Earl of Wiltshire hath the realm and farm.
The king's grown bankrupt, like a broken man.
Reproach and dissolution hangeth over him.
He hath not money for these Irish wars. His burdenous taxations notwithstanding, but by the robbing of the banished duke.
His noble kinsman, most degenerate king. But lords, we hear this fearful tempest sing, yet seek no shelter to avoid the storm. We see the wind sit sore upon our sails, and yet we strike not, but securely perish.
We see the very wrack that we must suffer, and unavoided is the danger now, for suffering so the cause of our wrack.
Not so. Even through the hollow eyes of death I spy life peering, but I dare not say how near the tidings of our comfort is.
Nay, let us share thy thoughts as thou dost.
Be confident to speak, Northumberland. We three are but thyself, and speaking so, thy words are but as thoughts. Therefore, be bold.
Then thus, I have from Port Le Blanc, a bay in Britain, received intelligence that Harry, Duke of Hereford, Reynald, Lord Cobham, that late broke from the Duke of Exeter, his brother Archbishop, late of Canterbury, Sir Thomas Erpingham, Sir John Rainston, Sir John Norbury, and Sir Robert Waterton, and Francis Point, all these well furnished by the Duke of Britain, with 8 tall ships, 3,000 men of war, are making hither with all due expedience, and shortly mean to touch our northern shore. Perhaps they had ere this, but they stay the first departing of the king for Ireland. If we then shall shake off our slavish yoke, imp out our drooping country's broken wing, redeem from broken pawn the blemished crown, wipe off the dust that hides our scepter's guilt, and make high majesty look like itself, away with me in post to Ravenspaw. But if you faint, as fearing to do so, stay and be secret, and myself will go.
To horse, urge doubts to them of fear.
Hold out my horse, and I will first be there.
Exit. Second scene. Enter the Queen, Bushy, and Bagot.
Madam, your majesty is too much sad. You promised when you parted with the king to lay aside self-harming heaviness and entertain a cheerful disposition.
To please the king, I did. To please myself, I cannot do it. Yet I know no cause why I should welcome such a guest as grief, save bidding farewell to so sweet a guest as my sweet Richard. Yet again, methinks some unborn sorrow, ripe in fortune's womb, is coming towards me, and my inward soul with nothing trembles, at something it grieves, more than with parting from my lord the king.
Each substance of a grief hath 20 shadows, which shows like grief itself, but is not so. For sorrow's eye, glazed with blinding tears, divides one thing entire to many objects, like perspectives, which rightly gazed upon show nothing but confusion, eye to eye. Distinguish form, so your sweet majesty, looking awry upon your lord's departure, find shapes of grief more than himself's to wail, which looked on as it is naught but shadows of what it is not. Then, thrice gracious queen, more than your lord's departure, weep not. More's not seen, or if it be, 'tis with false sorrow's eye, which for things true weep things imaginary.
It may be so, but yet my inward soul persuades me it is otherwise. Howe'er it be, I cannot but be sad, so heavy sad, as though I'm thinking on, no thought I think, makes me heavy, makes me with heavy nothing, faint and shrink.
'Tis nothing but conceit, my gracious lady.
'Tis nothing less. Conceit is still derived from some forefather grief. Mine is not so, for nothing hath begot my something grief, or something hath the nothing that I grieve. 'Tis in reversion that I do possess, but what it is, that is not yet known, what I cannot name. 'Tis nameless what I wot.
Heaven save your majesty, and well met, gentlemen. I hope the king is not yet shipped for Ireland.
Why hopest thou so? 'Tis better hope he is, for his designs crave haste, his haste good hope. Then wherefore dost thou hope he is not shipped?
That he, our hope, might have retired his power and driven into despair an enemy's hope, who strongly hath set footing in this land. The banished Bolingbroke repeals himself, and with uplifted arms is safely arrived at Ravensburg.
Oh God, in heaven forbid.
Oh, madam, 'tis too true, and that is worse. The Lord Northumberland, his young son, Henry Percy, the lords of Ross, Beaumont, and Willoughby, with all their powerful friends, are fled to him.
Why have you not proclaimed Northumberland and the rest of the revoltant faction traitors?
We have, whereupon the Earl of Worcester hath broke his staff, resigned his stewardship, and all the household servants fled with him to Bolingbroke.
So Green, thou art the midwife of my woe, and Bolingbroke, my sorrow's dismal heir. Now hath my soul brought forth her prodigy, and I, a gasping new delivered mother, have woe to woe, sorrow to sorrow joined.
Despair not, madam.
Who shall hinder me? I will despair and be at enmity with cousining hope. He is a flatterer, a parasite, a keeper back of death, who gently would dissolve the bands of life, which false hopes linger in extremity.
Here comes the Duke of York.
Signs of war about his aged neck. Oh, full of careless, careful business are his looks. Uncle, for heaven's sake, speak comfortable words.
Comfort's in heaven, and we are on earth, where nothing lives but crosses, care, and grief. Your husband he is gone to save far off, while others come to make him loose at home. Here am I left to underprop his land, who weak with age cannot support myself. Now comes the sick hour that his surfeit made. Now shall he try his friends that flattered him.
My lord, your son was gone before I came.
He was, why so? Go all the way, all which way it will. The nobles, they are fled. The commons, they are cold. And will I fear revolt on Hereford's side? Sirrah, get thee to Plashy, to my sister Gloucester. Bid her send me presently £1,000. Hold, take my ring.
My lord, I had forgot to tell your lordship. Today I came by and called there, but I shall grieve you to report the rest.
What is knave?
An hour before I came, the Duchess did die.
Heaven for his mercy, and what a tide of woes come rushing on this woeful land at once. I know not what to do. I would to heaven, so my untruth had not provoked him to it, the king had cut off my head with my brothers. What are the post dispatch for Ireland? How shall we do for money for these wars? Come, sister, cousin, I would say, pray pardon me. Go, fellow, get thee home, provide some carts, and bring away the armor that is there. Gentlemen, will you muster men? If I know how or which way to order these affairs, thus disorderly thrust into my hands, never believe me. Both are my kinsmen. The one is my sovereign, whom both my oath and duty bids defend. The other, again, is my kinsman, whom the king hath wronged, whom conscience and my kindred bids to right. Well, somewhat we must do. Come, cousin, I'll dispose of you Gentlemen, go muster up your men and meet me presently at Berkeley Castle. I should to Plashy too, but time will not permit. All is uneven, and everything is left at 6 and 7.
The wind sits fair for news to go to Ireland, but none returns. For us to levy power proportionable to the enemy is all impossible.
Besides, our nearness to the king in love is near the hate of those love not the king.
And that's the wavering commons, for their love lies in their purses, and whoso empties them by so much fills their hearts with deadly hate.
Wherein the king stands generally condemned.
If judgment lie in him, then so do we, because we have been ever near the king.
Well, I will for refuge straight to Bristol Castle. The Earl of Wiltshire is already there.
Thither will I with you, for little office will the hateful commons perform for us, except like curs to tear us all in pieces. Will you go along with us?
No, I will to Ireland to his majesty. Farewell. If hearts presage be not vain, we three here part, and never shall meet again.
That's as York thrives to beat back Bolingbroke.
Alas, poor Duke. The task he undertakes is numbering sands and drinking oceans dry. Where one on his side fights, thousands will fly.
Farewell at once, for once, for all and ever. Well, we may meet again.
I fear me, never.
All exit. Scene 3. Enter the Duke of Hereford and Northumberland.
How far is it, my lord, to Berkeley now?
Believe me, noble lord, I'm a stranger here in Gloucestershire. These high, wide hills and rough, uneven ways draws out our miles and makes them wearisome. And yet our fair discourse hath been as sugar, making the hard way sweet and delectable. But I think me what a weary way from Ravensburg to Cotswold will be found. In Ross and Willoughby, wanting your company, which I protest hath very much beguiled the tediousness and process of my travel, but theirs is sweetened with the hope to have the present benefit that I possess, and hope to joy is little less in joy than hope enjoyed. By this the weary lords shall make their way seem short, as mine hath done, by sight of what I have your noble company.
Of much less value is my company than your good words. But who comes here?
It is my son, young Harry Percy, sent for my brother Worcester. Whensoever, Harry, how fares your uncle?
I thought, my lord, to have learned his health of you.
Why, is he not with the queen?
No, my good lord, he hath forsook the court, broken his staff of office, and dispersed the household of the king.
What was his reason? He was not so resolved when we last spake together.
Because your lordship was proclaimed traitor, but he, my lord, is gone to Ravensburg to offer service to the Duke of Hereford, and sent me over to Berkeley to discover what power the Duke of York had levied there, then with direction to repair to Ravensburg.
Have you forgot the Duke of Hereford, boy?
No, my good lord, for that is not forgot which ne'er I did remember. To my knowledge, I never in my life did look on him.
Then learn to know him now. This is the Duke.
My gracious lord, I tender you my service, such as it is, being tender, raw, and young, which elder days shall ripen and confirm to more approved service and desert.
I thank thee, gentle Percy, and be sure I count myself in nothing else so happy as in a soul remembering my good friends. And as my fortune ripens with thy love, it shall be still thy true love's recompense. My heart this covenant makes, and my hand thus seals it.
How far is it to Berkeley, and what stir keeps good old York there with his men of war?
There stands the castle, by yon tuft of trees, manned with 300 men, as I have heard, and in it are lords of York, Berkeley, and Seymour, none else of name and noble estimate.
Enter Ross and Willoughby.
Here come the lords of Ross and Willoughby, bloody with spurring, fiery red with haste.
Welcome, my lords. I wot your love pursues a banished traitor. All my treasury is yet but unfelt thanks, which more enriched shall be your love and labor's recompense.
Your presence makes us rich, most noble lord.
And far surmounts our labor to attain it.
Evermore thanks, that exchequer of the poor, which till my infant fortune comes to years, stands for my bounty. But who comes here?
Enter Berkeley.
It is my Lord of Berkeley, as I guess.
My Lord of Hereford, my message is to you.
My lord, my answer is to Lancaster, and I am come to seek that name in England, and I must find that title in your tongue, before I make reply to aught you say.
Mistake me not, my lord. 'Tis not my meaning to raise one title of your honor out. To you, my lord, I come, what lord you will, from the most glorious of this land, the Duke of York, to know what pricks you on, to take advantage of the absent time and fight our native peace with self-born arms.
I shall not need transport. I shall not need transport my words by you. Here comes his grace in person. My noble uncle.
Patrick, show me thy humble heart and not thy knee, whose duty is deceivable and false.
My gracious uncle.
Tut, tut. Grace me no grace, nor uncle me. I am no traitor's uncle.
Traitor's uncle, and that word grace in an ungracious mouth is but profane. Why have these banished and forbidden legs dared once to touch a dust of England's ground? But more than why have they dared to march so many miles upon her peaceful bosom, frightening her pale-faced villages with war and ostentation of despised armies? Comest thou because the anointed king is hence? Why, foolish boy, the king is left behind. In my loyal bosom lies his power. Were I but now the lord of such youth, as when but brave Gaunt, thy father, and myself, as the Black Prince, that young Mars of men from forth the ranks of many thousand French. Oh then, how quickly should this arm of mine, now prisoner to the palsy, chastise thee and minister correction to thy fault.
My gracious uncle, let me know my fault. On what condition stands it, and wherein?
Even in condition of the worst degree, in gross rebellion and detested treason. Thou art a banished man, and here art thou come before the expiration of thy time in braving arms against thy sovereign?
As I was banished Hereford. But as I come for Lancaster. And noble uncle, I beseech your grace, look on my wrongs with an indifferent eye. You are my father, for methinks in you I see old Gaunt alive. Oh then, my father, will you permit that I shall stand condemned, a wandering vagabond, my rights and royalties plucked from my arms perforce and given away to upstart unthrifts? Wherefore was I born? If that my cousin king be king of England, I must be granted. I am Duke of Lancaster. You have a son, Almerl, my noble kinsman. Had you first died and he been thus trod down, he should have found his uncle a gaunt father to rouse his wrongs and chase them to the bay. I am denied to sue my livery here, and yet my ladder's patent give me leave. My father's goods are all distrained and sold, and needs and all are misemployed. What will you have me do? I am a subject and challenge law. Attorneys are denied me, and therefore personally I lay my claim to my inheritance of free descent.
The noble Duke hath been much too abused.
It stands your grace upon to do him right.
Base men by his endowments are made great.
My lords of England, let me tell you this. I have had feelings of my cousin's wrongs and labored all I could do to do him right. But in this kind, to come in braving arms, be his own carver and cut out his way, to find out right with wrongs it may not be. And you that do abet him in this kind, cherish rebellion and our rebels all.
The noble Duke hath sworn his coming is but for his own. And for the right of that, we all have strongly sworn to give him aid, and let him never see joy that breaks this oath.
Well, I see the issues of these arms. I cannot mend it. I must needs confess, because my power is weak and all ill left. But if I could, by him that gave me life, I would attach you all and make you stoop unto the sovereign mercy of the king. But since I cannot, be it known to you, I do remain as neuter. So fare you well, unless you please to enter in the castle and there repose you for this night.
An offer, uncle, that we will accept. But we must win your grace to go with us to Bristow Castle, which they say is held by Bushy Bagot and accomplices, the caterpillars of the Commonwealth, which I have sworn to weed and pluck away.
It may be I will go with you, but yet I'll pause, for I'm loath to break our country's laws. No friends, no foes, to me welcome you are. Things past redress are now with me past care.
All exit. Scene 4. Enter Salisbury and Captain.
My lord of Salisbury, we have stayed 10 days and hardly kept our countrymen together, and yet we hear no tidings from the king. Therefore, we will disperse ourselves. Farewell.
Stay yet another day, thou trusty Welshman. The king reposeth all his confidence in thee.
'Tis thought the king is dead. We will not stay. The day comes in, our country, the bay trees in our country all are withered, and meteors fright the reed stars of heaven. The pale-faced moon looks bloody on the earth, and lean-looked prophets whisper fearful change. Rich men look sad, and ruffians dance and leap, the one in fear to lose what they enjoy, the other to enjoy by rage and war. These signs forerun the death of kings. Farewell, our countrymen are gone and fled, as well assured Richard their king is dead.
Welsh captain leaves.
Ah, Richard, with eyes of heavy mind, I see thy glory like a shooting star fall to the base earth from the firmament. Thy sun sets weeping in the lowly west, witnessing storms to come, woe and unrest. Thy friends are fled to wait upon thy foes, and crossly to thy good all fortune goes.
Salisbury exits. Act 3, Scene 1. Bolingbroke, York, Northumberland, Ross, Percy, Willoughby, with Bushy and Green prisoners. Bolingbroke. Josh? Bring forth these men, Bushy and Green. I will not vex your souls, since presently your souls must part your bodies with too much urging your pernicious lives.
For 'twere no charity yet to wash your blood from off my hands. Here in the view of men, I will unfold some causes of your deaths. You have misled a prince, a royal king, a happy gentleman in blood and lineaments, but you unhappy and disfigured clean. You have in manner with your sinful hours made a divorce betwixt his queen and him, broke the possession of a royal bed, and stained the beauty of a fair queen's cheeks with tears drawn from her eyes with your foul wrongs. Myself, a prince by fortune of my birth, near the king in blood and near in love, till you did make him misinterpret me, have stooped my neck under your injuries, and sighed my English breath in foreign clouds, eating the bitter breath of banishment, while you have fed upon my seigneuries, disparked my parks, and felled my forest woods from mine own windows, torn my household coat, raised out my empress, leaving me no sign, save men's opinions and my living blood, to show the world I am a gentleman. This, and much more than twice all this, condemns you to the death. See them delivered o'er to their execution in the hand of death.
More welcome is the stroke of death to me than Bolingbroke to England.
My comfort is that heaven will take our souls and plague injustice with the pains of hell.
My lord Northumberland, see them dispatched. Uncle, you say the queen is at your house. For heaven's sake, fairly let her be entreated. Tell her I send her my kind commends. Take special care my greetings be delivered.
A gentleman of mine I have dispatched, with letters of your love to her at large.
Thanks, gentle uncle. Come, lords, away, to fight with Glendower and his accomplices. A while to work, and after, holiday.
All exit. Scene 2. Drums, flourish in colors, enter Richard, O'Merrill, Carlisle, and soldiers.
Barclay Castle, call you this land.
Aye, my lord, how brooks your grace the air after your late tossing on the breaking seas?
Needs must, I like it well. I weep for joy to stand upon my kingdom once again. Oh, dear earth, I do salute thee with my hand, though rebels wound thee with their horses' hoofs. Oh, as a long-parted mother with her child plays fondly with her tears and smiles in meeting, so weeping, smiling, greet I thee, my earth, and do thee favors with my royal hands. Feed not thy sovereign's foe, my gentle earth, nor with thy sweets comfort his ravenous sense, but let thy spiders that suck up thy venom and heavy-gated toads lie in their way, doing annoyance to the treacherous feet which with usurping steps do trample thee. Oh, yield stinging nettles to mine enemies, and when they from thy bosom pluck a flower, guard it, I pray thee, with a lurking adder. Double tongue may with a mortal touch throw death upon thy sovereign's enemies. Mock not my senseless conjuration, lords. This earth shall have a feeling, and these stones proved armored soldiers, ere her native king should falter under foul rebellion's arms.
Fear not, my lord, that power that made you king hath power to keep you king, in spite of all.
He means, my lord, that we are too remiss, whilst Bolingbroke through our security grows strong and great in substance and in friends.
Discomfortable cousin, knowest thou not that when the searching eye of heaven is hid behind the globe that lights the lower world, then thieves and robbers range abroad unseen, in murders and an outrage bloody here. But when from under this terrestrial ball he fires the proud tops of the eastern pines and darts his light through every guilty hole, then murders, treasons, and detested sins, the cloak of night being plucked from off their backs, stand bare and naked, trembling at themselves. So, when this thief, this traitor Bolingbroke, who all this while hath revelled in the night, shall see us rising in our throne the east, his treasons will sit blushing in his face, not able to endure the sight of day, but self-affrighted tremble at his sin. Not all the water in the rough-rude sea can wash the balm from an anointed king. The breath of worldly men cannot depose the deputy elected by the Lord. But every man that Bolingbroke hath pressed to lift shrewd steel against our golden crown, heaven, for his Richard, hath in heavenly pay a glorious angel. And then if angels fight, weak men must fall, for heaven still guards the right. Oh, welcome, my lord. How far off lies your power?
Nor near, nor farther off, my gracious lord, than this week on. Discomfort guides my tongue, and bids me speak of nothing but despair. One day too late, I fear, my noble lord, hath clouded all thy happy days on earth. Oh, call back yesterday. Bid time return, and thou shalt have 12,000 fighting men. Today, unhappy day, too late, o'erthrows thy joys, fortunes, friends, and thy state. For all the Welshmen, hearing thou wert dead, art gone to Bolingbroke, dispersed and fled.
Comfort, my liege, why looks your grace so pale?
But now the blood of 20,000 men did triumph in my face, and they are fled. Until so much blood thither come again, have I not reason to look pale and dead? All souls that will be safe fly from my side, for time hath set a blot upon my pride.
Comfort, my liege, remember who you are.
I had forgot myself. Am I not king? Awake, thou sluggard majesty, thou sleepest. Is not the king's name 40,000 names? On my name, a puny subject strikes at thy great glory. Look not to the ground, ye favorites of a king. Are we not high? High be our thoughts. I know my uncle York, hath power enough to serve our turn. But who comes here?
Enter Scroop.
More health and happiness betide my liege than can my care-tuned tongue deliver him.
Mine ear is open and my heart prepared. The worst is worldly loss thou canst unfold. Say, is my kingdom lost? Why, 'twas my care, and what loss is it to be rid of care? Strives Bolingbroke to be as great as we? Greater he shall not be. If he serve God, we'll serve him too, and be his fellow so. Revolt our subjects? That we cannot mend. They break their faith to God as well as us. Cry woe, destruction, ruin, loss, decay. The worst is death, and death will have his day.
Glad am I that your highness is so armed to bear the tidings of calamity, like an unseasonable stormy day, which make the silver rivers drown their shores, as if the world were all dissolved to tears. So high above his limit swells the rage of Bolingbroke, covering your fearful land with hard, bright steel, and hearts harder than steel. While white bears have armed their thin and hairless Whitebeards have armed their thin and hairless scalps against thy majesty, and boys with women's voices strive to speak big and clap their female joints in stiff, unwieldy arms against thy crown. Thy very beadsmen learn to bend their bows of double fatal hue against thy state. Yea, distaff women manage rusty bills against thy seat. Both young and old rebel, and all goes worse than I have power to tell.
Too well thou tell'st a tale so ill. Where is the Earl of Wiltshire? Where is Bagot? What has become of Bushy? Where is Green? That they have let the dangerous enemy measure our confines with such peaceful steps. If we prevail, their heads shall pay for it. I warrant they have made peace with Bolingbroke.
Peace have they made with him indeed, my lord.
Oh, villains, vipers, damned without redemption, dogs easily wont to fawn on any man, snakes in my heart blood warm that sting my heart, 3 Judases, each one thrice worse than Judas. Would they make peace? Terrible hell, make war upon their spotted souls for dispense.
Sweet love, I see, changing his property, turns to the sourest and most deadly hate. Again, uncurse their souls. Their peace is made with heads, not with hands. Those whom you curse have felt the worst of death's destroying hand and lie full low, graved in the hollow ground.
Is Bushy, Green, and the Earl of Wiltshire dead?
Yea, all of them at Bristow lost their heads.
Where is the Duke my father with his power?
No matter where. Of comfort no man speak. Let's talk of graves, of worms and epitaphs. Make dust our paper, and with rainy eyes write sorrow on the bosom of the earth. Let's choose executors and talk of wills, and yet not so. For what can we bequeath save our deposed bodies to the ground? Our lands, our lives, and all are Bolingbroke's, and nothing can we call our own but death, and that small model of the barren earth which serves as paste and cover to our bones. For heaven's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings. How some have been deposed, some slain in war, some haunted by the ghosts they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives, some sleeping killed, all murdered. For within the hollow crown that rounds the mortal temples of a king keeps death his court. There the antic sits, scoffing his state and grinning at his pomp, allowing him a breath, a little scene, to monarchize, be feared, and kill with looks, infusing him with self and vain conceit, as if this flesh which wars about our life were brass impregnable, and humoured thus, comes at the last, and with a little pin bores through his castle walls, and farewell, king. Cover your heads and mock not flesh and blood with solemn reverence. Throw away respect, tradition, form, and ceremonious duty, for you have but mistook me all this while. I live with bread like you, feel want, taste grief, need friends. Subjected thus, how can you say to me, I am a king?
My lord, wise men ne'er wail their present woes, that presently prevent the ways to wail. To fear the foe, since fear oppresses strength, gives in your weakness strength unto your foe. Fear and be slain. No worse can come to sight, and fight and die is death, destroying death, where fearing, dying, pays death servile breath.
My father hath a power, inquire of him, and learn to make a body of a limb.
Thou chidest me well. Proud Bolingbroke, I come to change blows with thee for our day of doom. This ague fit of fear is overblown. An easy task is it to win our own. Say, Scroop, where lies our uncle with his power? Speak sweetly, man, although thy looks be sour.
Men judge by the complexion of the sky, the state and inclination of the day. So may you by my dull and heavy eye. My tongue hath but a heavier tale to say. I play the torturer by small and small to lengthen out the worst that must be spoken. Your uncle York is joined with Bolingbroke, and all your northern castles yielded up, and all your southern gentlemen in arms upon his faction.
Thou hast said enough. Beshrew thee, cousin, which did lead me forth of that sweet way I was into despair. What say you now? What comfort have we now? By heaven, I'll hate him everlastingly that bids me be of comfort any more. Go to Flint Castle, there I'll pine away. A king, woe's slave shall kingly woe obey. That power I have, discharge and let them go, to air the land that hath some hope to grow, but I have none. Let no man speak again, to alter this, for counsel is but vain.
My liege, but one word.
He does me double wrong, that wounds me with the flatteries of his tongue. Discharge my followers, let them hence away, from Richard's night to Bolingbroke's fair day.
All exit. Scene 3. Enter with drum and colors. Bolingbroke, York, Northumberland, attendants.
So that by this intelligence we learn the Welshmen are dispersed and Salisbury is gone to meet the king, who lately landed with some few private friends upon this coast.
The news is very fair and good, my lord. Richard, not far from hence, hath hid his head.
It would beseem the Lord Northumberland to say King Richard. Alack, the heavy day when such a sacred king should hide his head.
Your grace mistakes, only to be brief, left I his title out.
The time hath been. Would you have been so brief with him? He would have been so brief with you to shorten you, for taking so the head, your whole head's length.
Mistake not, uncle, farther than you should.
Take not, good cousin, farther than you should, lest you mistake the heavens are o'er your head.
I know it, uncle, and oppose not myself against their will. But who comes here? Welcome, Harry. What, will not this castle yield?
The castle royally is manned, my lord, against thy entrance.
Royally? Why, it contains no king.
Yes, my good lord, it doth contain a king. King Richard lies within the limits of yon lime and stone, and with him the Lord Omerel, Lord Salisbury, Sir Stephen Scroop, besides a clergyman of holy reverence, who I cannot learn.
Oh, belike it is the Bishop of Carlisle.
Noble lords, go to the rude ribs of that ancient castle. Through brazen trumpets send the breath of Parl into his ruined ears, and thus deliver. Henry Bolingbroke upon his knees doth kiss King Richard's hands, and sends allegiance and true faith of heart to his royal person hither come. E'en at his feet to lay my arms and power, provided that my banishment repealed, and lands restored again be freely granted. If not, I'll use the advantage of my power and lay the summer's dust with showers of blood, rain from the wounds of slaughtered Englishmen, the which, how far off from the mind of Bolingbroke it is, such crimson tempest should bedrench the fresh green lap of fair King Richard's land. My stooping duty tenderly shall show. Go, signify as much, while here we march upon the grassy carpet of this plain. Let's march without the noise of threatening drum, that from this castle's tattered battlements our fair appointments may be well perused. Methinks King Richard and myself should meet with no less terror than the elements of fire and water, when their thundering smoke and meeting tears the cloudy cheeks of heaven. But he, the fire, I'll be the yielding water. The rage be his while on the earth I reign, my waters on the earth and not on him. March on, and mark King Richard how he looks.
Quarrel without, answer within. Then a flourish. Enter on the walls Richard, Carlisle, Omerle, Scroop, and Salisbury.
See, King Richard doth himself appear as doth the blushing, discontented sun from out the fiery portal of the east, when he perceives the envious clouds are bent to dim his glory and to stain the tract of his bright passage to the Occident.
Yet looks he like a king. Behold his eye, as bright as is the eagle's, lightens forth controlling majesty. Alack, alack for woe, that any harm should stain so fair a show.
We are amazed, and thus long have we stood to watch the fearful bending of thy knee, because we thought ourselves thy lawful king. And if we be, how dare thy joints forget to pay their awful duty to our presence? If we be not, show us the hand of God that hath dismissed us from our stewardship. For well we know no hand of blood and bone can grip the sacred handle of our scepter, unless ye do profane, steal, or usurp. And though you think that all as you have done have torn their souls by turning them from us, and we are barren and bereft of friends, yet no, my master, God omnipotent, is mustering in his crowds on our behalf armies of pestilence, and they shall strike your children yet unborn and unbegot that lift your vassal hands against my head and threat the glory of my precious crown. Tell Bolingbroke, for yond methinks he stands, thinks he is, that every stride he makes upon my land is dangerous treason. He has come to ope the purple testament of bleeding war, but ere the crown he looks for live in peace, 10,000 bloody crowns of mothers' sons shall ill become the flower of England's face, change the complexion of her maid pale peace to scarlet indignation, and bedew her pastor's grass with faithful English blood.
The King of Heaven forbid our Lord the King should so with civil and uncivil arms be rushed upon. Thy thrice noble cousin Harry Bolingbroke doth humbly kiss thy hand, and by the honorable tomb swears that stands upon your royal grandsire's bones, and by the royalties of both your bloods, currents that spring from one most gracious head, and by the buried head of warlike Gaunt, and by the worth and honor of himself comprising all that may be sworn or said, his coming hither hath no further scope than for his lineal royalties, and to beg enfranchisement immediate upon his knees, which on thy royal party granted once, his glittering arms he will commend to rust, his barbed steeds to stables, and his heart to faithful service of your majesty. This swears he, as he is a prince, is just, and as I am a gentleman, I credit him.
Northumberland, aid us. The king returns, his noble cousin is right welcome hither. All the number of his fair demands shall be accomplished without contradiction. All the gracious utterance thou hast, speak to his gentle hearing kind commends. We do debase ourselves, cousin, to be not to look so poorly and to speak so fair. Shall we call back Northumberland and send defiance to the traitor and so die?
No, good my lord. Let's fight with gentle words till time lend friends, and friends their helpful swords.
Oh God, that ere this tongue of mine that laid the sentence of dread banishment on yon proud man should take it off again with words of sooth. Oh, that I were as great as is my grief, or lesser than my name, or that I could forget what I have been, or not remember what I must be now. Oh, swell'st thou, proud heart, I'll give thee scope to beat, since foes have scope to beat both thee and me.
Northumberland comes back from Bolingbroke.
What must the king do now? Must he submit? The king shall do it. Must he be deposed? The king shall be contented. Must he lose the name of king? For God's name, let it go. I'll give my jewels for a set of beads, my gorgeous palace for a hermitage, my gay apparel for an almsman's gown, my figured goblets for a dish of wood, my scepter for a palmer's walking staff, my subjects for a pair of carved saints, and my large kingdom for a little grave. A little grave, an obscure grave, or I'll be buried in the king's highway, some way of common trade where subjects' feet may hourly trample on their sovereign's head. But on my heart they tread now whilst I live, and buried once, why not upon my head? Homer, thou weepst. My tender-hearted cousin will make foul weather with despised tears. Our sighs, and they shall lodge the summer corn and make a dearth in this revolting land. Or shall we play the wantons with our woes and make some pretty match with shedding tears, as thus to drop them still upon one place till they have fretted us a pair of graves within the earth, and therein laid there lies two kinsmen, digged their graves with weeping eyes. Would not this ill do well? Well, I see I talk but idly, and you mock me. Most mighty prince, my lord Northumberland, what says King Bolingbroke? Will his majesty give Richard leave to live till Richard die? You make a leg, and Bolingbroke says I.
My lord, in the base court he doth attend to speak with you. May it please you to come down.
Down I come like glistering Phaeton, wanting the manage of unruly jades. In the base court? Base court where kings grow base to come at traitors' calls and do them grace. In the base court come down. Down court, down king, for night owls shriek where mounting larks should sing.
What says his majesty?
Sorrow and grief of heart makes him speak fondly like a frantic man, yet he is come.
Stand all apart and show fair duty to his majesty. My gracious lord.
Fair cousin, you debase your princely knee to make the earth proud with kissing it. Me rather had my heart might feel your love than my unpleased eye see your courtesy. But up, cousin, up, your heart is up, I know. Thus high at least, although your knee be low.
My gracious lord, I come but for mine own.
Your own is yours, and I am yours, and all.
So far be mine, my most redoubted lord, as my true service shall deserve your love.
Well you deserved. They well deserve to have that know the strongest and surest way to get. Uncle, give me your hand. Nay, dry your eyes. Tears show their love, but want their remedies. Cousin, I am too young to be your father, though you are old enough to be my heir. What you will have, I'll give, and willing too. For do we must, what force will have us do? Set on towards London. Cousin, is it so?
Yea, my good lord.
Then I must not say no.
Flourish, all exit. Scene 4, enter the queen and 2 ladies. Gail, you're muted. I'm unmuting you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you're fine now.
What sport shall we devise here in this garden to drive away the heavy thought of care?
Madam, we'll play at bowls.
'Twill make me think the world is full of rubs, and that my fortune runs against the bias.
Madam, we'll dance.
My legs can keep no measure in delight, when my poor heart no measure keeps in grief. Therefore, no dancing, girl, some other sport.
Madam, we'll tell tales.
Of sorrow or of joy?
Of either, madam.
Of neither, girl. For if of joy, being altogether wanting, it doth remember me the more of sorrow, or if of grief, being altogether had, it adds more sorrow to my want of joy, For what I have, I need not to repeat, and what I want, it boots me not to complain.
Madam, I'll sing.
'Tis well that thou hast cause, but thou shouldst please me better, wouldst thou weep.
I could weep, madam, would it do you good?
And I could sing, would weeping do me good, and never borrow any tear of thee.
Enter a gardener and 2 servants.
But stay, here comes the gardeners. Let's step into the shadow of these trees. My wretchedness unto a row of pines. They'll talk of state, for every one doth so, against a change. Woe is forerun with woe.
Go, bind thou up yond dangling apricocks, which like unruly children make their sires stoop with oppression of their prodigal weight. Give some supportance to the bending twigs. Go thou, and like an executioner, cut off the heads of 2 fast-growing sprays that look too lofty in our commonwealth. All must be even in our government. You thus employed, I'll go root away the noisome weeds that without profit suck the soil's fertility from wholesome flowers.
Why should we, in the compass of a pale, keep law and form, and due proportion, shewing as in a model our firm estate? When our sea-walled garden, the whole land is full of weeds, her fairest flowers choked up, her fruit trees all unpruned, her hedges ruined, her knots disordered, and her wholesome herbs swarming with caterpillars.
Hold thy peace. He that hath suffered this disordered spring hath now himself met with the fall of leaf. The weeds that his broad-spreading leaves did shelter seemed in eating him to hold him up, are pulled up, root and all, by Bolingbroke. I mean the Earl of Wiltshire, Bushy Green.
What, are they dead?
They are, and Bolingbroke hath seized the wasteful king. Oh, what pity 'tis that he had not so trimmed and dressed his land as we this garden at time of year, and wound the bark, the skin of our fruit trees, least being over proud with sap and blood, with too much riches it confound itself. Had he done so to great and growing men, they might have lived to bear and lie to taste their fruits of duty. Superfluous branches wheel up away that bearing brows may live. Had he done so himself, had borne the crown, which waste in idle hours hath quite thrown down.
What think you, the king shall be deposed?
Depressed he is already, and deposed. 'Tis doubted he will be. Letters came last night to a dear friend of the Duke of York's that tell black tidings.
Oh, I am pressed to death through want of speaking. Thou, old Adam's likeness, set to dress this garden, how dares thy harsh, rude tongue sound this unpleasing news? What Eve, what serpent hath suggested thee to make a second fall of cursed man? Why dost thou say King Richard is deposed? Darest thou, thou little better thing than earth, divine his downfall? Say where, when, and how camest thou by this ill tidings? Speak, thou wretch.
Pardon me, madam. Little joy have I to breathe these news. Yet what I say is true. King Richard, he is in the mighty hold of Bolingbroke. Their fortunes both are weighed in your lord's scale, is nothing but himself, and some few vanities that make him light. But in the balance of great Bolingbroke, besides himself, are all the English peers, and with that odds he weighs King Richard down. Post you to London, and you will find it so. I speak no more than everyone doth know.
Nimble mischance, that art so light of foot, doth not thy embassage belong to me? And am I last that knows it? Oh, thou think'st to serve me last, that I may longest keep thy sorrow in my breast. Come, ladies, go to meet at London, London's king in woe. What was I born to this, that my sad look should grace the triumph of great Bolingbroke? Gardener, for telling me this news of woe, I would the plants thou graspst may never grow.
Poor queen, so that thy state might be no worse, I would my skill were subject to thy curse. Ah, here did she drop a tear. Here in this place, I'll set a bank of rue, sour herb of grace. Rue, even for Ruth, here shortly shall be seen, in the remembrance of a weeping queen.
Okay, let's take a break and regroup at 3:10. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
3:10.
Great. Yep, sounds good. And I just want to let all attendees know that that we are more. This isn't like the halfway point. We're at about the 2/3 way point. So just wanting to let you know about that. And if anybody has any questions or anything, I'll just hang out here while we're on our break. Let me know if you've got any concerns, any problems, and thank you, Missy. I was supposed to be Willoughby, but Missy Mendoza had indicated that she wanted to participate in the reading, so I gave that role over to her. So, thanks for wanting to do it and for stepping in, Missy, and all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. What are the readings after As You Like It?
Very good question.
Okay.
Yes, I do need to do a schedule on that. I'm sort of open to things. If other people want to Playmaster other ones that they would like to do, we can schedule them. At this point, I'm sort of trying to do like keeping our normal Saturdays going. So yeah, and we'll actually be able to do the Saturday on Memorial Day weekend, which normally we wouldn't because the library would be closed. So I'm going to reach out. I have not, it's sort of like we're doing so many that I'm not getting ahead of it yet. So I'm going to try and figure out some things. And so the thing is a lot of Playmasters who had things scheduled for that want to redo them when we're back live again. And so thank you, Derek, to you and Jonathan and Jennifer, who stepped up to Playmaster things like that. And I'll probably figure some more. I think what I want to keep, my plan at this point is we'll have the Saturday readings, Sundays. I think this Sunday and possibly next Sunday as well, we're going to do this Romeo and Juliet thing from the production I was in. But then we might also have I'm thinking Saturdays at 1, Sundays at 4, having our sort of Wednesday night sort of discussion webinars, and then possibly also having readings another night during the week. There's also, I know Michael Gardner has expressed some interest in play mastering on this, but Wednesday nights, there's another play reading group that does Shakespeare readings that Evan is involved with. And so we may add Thursday night readings at all as well, because I really don't know. I mean, I'm sure what we know from the New York Public Library, we were sort of canceled. They wouldn't do public things through June, but that was several weeks ago. So it may even be longer than that. So I'm kind of feeling like this may become a different, a complete season on its own, the Zoom Instant Shakespeare, where, what the heck, why not do all of the readings here? And then when we can do them live again, we'll do the rest of the readings live. So basically this is our 20th season, which is really our 21st season, and it'll be like 2 seasons in 1. So that's my thinking at this point. But yeah, I do need to get things more sort of locked down and figure out how to do it. And yeah, I'm hoping that by the end of this weekend, early next week, I can send out some general information and do a better job, because I really even haven't let everybody who's known about Instant Shakespeare in the past know about this. And so this is really, I think it's terrific. I mean, I would prefer being able to do it live in person, but we are still doing it live. I mean, it is live, and you know, I mean, there's some things with technical difficulties. One of the things that I saw a place where they were having to think about Zoom, and they're like, you can't do musicals on Zoom because there's a lot of difficulty when you have people talking simultaneously. And because there is, depending, people have different bandwidths, and so there's a different sort of a lag. So, but we're doing the best we can, and I think it's just as we do more of these, we'll get more comfortable with it, with muting yourself when you're not on and unmuting yourself when you come. Because that can be challenging sometimes, and it's just something that we have to get into more practice with, and it's better. I think what I've learned is that it's like if I
don't forget to be back at 3:10.
I'm not sure if you can come back on your own or if I have to unmute you, so that's why it's a good idea if you're not talking or not in the scene, to just mute yourself and then like unmute yourself on your entrance. I'm still sort of trying to work out if we can do things. I've seen there's actually another Shakespeare online thing, The Show Must Go Online, which is based in London, where they're doing readings of the plays, I think like every Wednesday or something, which is very good. And they've managed to be able to do this thing where what they can do is they can just highlight the people who are in the scene. So you only see them and you don't see everybody else. And so I've been writing to Zoom. I'm going to write to the guy to try and find out how to do that, if that's some sort of plugin. Because one of the things that's happening is, some of you may have noticed, is when you're on speaker view, it's like it's responding to where there's noise. So if somebody's in the background and they bump into something, then you see a picture of them, even though the other person is talking. So that can be a little distracting. So that's why when I encourage you strongly that when you're not in the scene to mute yourselves. And as I say, it's a learning process, and I think Zoom is something that's going to be with us, so we might as well get more comfortable with it and use it for Shakespeare.
I see you're recording this.
Yes.
Are you recording the Wednesday late night discussions? The problem is that makes it too late for me. I'm busy putting the kids to bed when those are on, and I don't want to make a lot of noise and keep them awake. But I wouldn't mind being able to tune in and see the discussions later.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Since the Wednesday, what I'm doing with these and what's actually going on with this is also being recording. We're recording it onto my computer, so I've gotten it, and it's also being broadcast live onto YouTube, because we've now created an Instant Shakespeare Company YouTube channel where we're putting up the Zoom reading. I mean, as this one is going up live as we're doing it right now. So you can also let people know they can also watch it through YouTube. On the Wednesday things, I don't know, they're less sort of visually interesting, I think, because a lot of it is talking about ideas and people talking about things, but I'm thinking it might be useful to sort of do those as an audio thing and maybe start a podcast of those Wednesday discussions. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. But yeah, I mean, I can until I get it up, I'll keep people posted. I'm trying to get better at letting people know about things, which I'm not doing so well, but it's because I'm just sort of like a little bit catch as catch can at this point. But I will do that, and I'll make audio. I'll keep audio files of the discussion things, and once I work out the schedule, I will let people know. And also, I mean, this is another thing. If people really want to put a reading together, and I've got a few people, if they want to Playmaster it, I can assist them with that. I can facilitate that. I'll also be Playmastering ones. So, I mean, just contact me. The easiest way, what I'm trying to do now, I have a multiplicity of different email addresses. Shakespeare, I've now set up the Instant Shakespeare at gmail.com. Instant Shakespeare, one word, at gmail.com is sort of trying to be my main email address for things about Instant Shakespeare. So things should be directed to that address if you have requests of roles you want to do, times that would work good for you. I mean, yesterday we were very fortunate. We did a reading of the play of Sir Thomas More on May Day, since one of the events portrayed is the evil May Day or the ill May Day of 1517, which is how Thomas More first came to prominence. And one of the parts of the play Sir Thomas More that people believe is actually written by Shakespeare. So it was very appropriate to do that, I felt, and all of that. I mean, because the whole thing of the evil May Day was this idea that people, Londoners, were very upset that they felt the foreigners were taking their jobs, and so they went off. They robbed. They robbed to go after these foreigners and to try and kill them, and they burned down their houses. They didn't kill too many of them, and More was basically able to sort of talk them down. So that was interesting to do that, and so we'll try and. I mean, we can also do readings tied in with other sorts of dates. I don't know. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's going to be interesting to figure out how to do it, to do things like the Henry VI plays. I mean, because a lot of those plays do have a lot of sort of historical anchors in them of the various battles that are portrayed in them and things like that.
Did you
And
record the Thomas More?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did you record the Thomas More?
Yes, the Thomas More was recorded and it was streamed live to YouTube. So it's in our Instant Shakespeare Company YouTube channel.
Oh, good. That again was a late one that I couldn't join.
Yeah, that was.
Because I'm in London.
Yeah,
5 hours behind you guys.
Yeah, well, that one was done. Eleanor really wanted to do it at that time because she's friends with Teller. You know of Penn and Teller. He was actually her Latin teacher in high school, and so she's kept in touch with him. And Teller was actually in the reading yesterday, playing a number of roles, and some of the roles in which they had to speak Latin. So it was great to have a real person who understands Latin speaking Latin. I felt rather embarrassed because as Thomas More, I had to speak some Latin, and I don't know. Didn't, but yeah, it was really great to have him do that, and that's what we want to do, because we also had
We're starting. You better get ready.
like Missy, who's
Yes, we're going to start. She's starting.
Sorry, were you speaking to me just then?
Yeah, no, I was just mentioning, Missy, that you're joining us from New Zealand, and we have,
that's right.
And most of the rest of us, I'm in New Jersey or in the New York, New Jersey area, but that's one of the really exciting things about Zoom is that we can accommodate all over.
Okay, it's 3:11. Is everybody back?
Back.
Starting.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Bolingbroke,
Paul.
Daggett, and let me see.
Paul. Oh, sorry.
Let's see.
Did somebody else have a question?
Oh, well, did you say that Instant Shakespeare, it's Missy speaking. Paul, did you say that instantshakespeare@gmail.com is your email address?
Yes, Instant Shakespeare, all one word, @gmail.com is the main sort of email address I'm using for Instant Shakespeare. So,
right, sweet. Thank you. I shall get that down. I'll write that down.
And it looks like everybody's back.
Sam, let me see. Sam is reading Ross, and let's see, is Ross okay? We're good. Let's roll. Enter. As to the Parliament, Bolingbroke, Omerle, Northumberland, Percy, Fitzwater, Surrey, Carlisle, Abbot of Westminster, Herald, officers, and Bagot.
Call forth Bagot. Now, Bagot, freely speak thy mind. What thou dost know of noble Gloucester's death, who wrought it with the king, and who performed the bloody office of his timeless end.
Then set before my face the Lord Omerle.
Cousin, stand forth and look upon that man.
My Lord Omerle, I know your daring tongue scorns to unsay what it hath once delivered. In that dead time when Gloucester's death was plotted, I heard you say, is not my arm of length, that reacheth from the restful English court as far as Calais, to my uncle's head. Amongst much other talk that very time, I heard you say that you had rather refused the offer of 100,000 crowns than Bolingbroke's return to England, adding withal, how blessed this land would be in this your cousin's death.
Princes and noble lords, what answer shall I make to this base man? Shall I so much dishonor my fair stars on equal terms to give him chastisement? Either I must, or have mine honor soiled with the attainder of his slanderous lip. There is my gage, the manual seal of death that marks thee out for hell. Thou liest, and will maintain what thou hast said is false in thy heart blood, though being all too base to stain the temper of my knightly sword.
Bagot forbear, thou shalt not take it up.
Excepting one, I would he were the best in all this presence that hath moved me so.
If that thy valor stand on sympathize, there is my gage, Ormerle, engaged to thine. By that fair sun that shows me where thou standst, I heard thee say, and vauntingly thou spakest it, that thou wert cause of noble Gloucester's death. If thou deniest it, 20 times thou liest, and I will turn thy falsehood to thy heart, where it was forged with my rapier's point.
Thou darest not, coward, live to see the day.
Now, by my soul, I would it were this hour.
Fitzwater, thou art damned to hell for this.
Ormerle, thou liest. His honor is as true.
Thou liest, honor is as true in the appeal as thou art unjust, and that thou art so. There I throw my gage, and to prove it on thee to the extremest point of mortal breathing, seize it if thou darest.
And if I do not, may my hands rot off and never brandish more revengeful steel over the glittering helmet of my foe.
My Lord Fitzwater, I do remember well the very time Ormerle and you did talk.
My lord, 'tis very true. You were in presence then, and you can witness with me this is true.
As false by heaven as heaven itself is true.
Sorry, thou liest!
Dishonorable boy, that lie shall lie so heavy on my sword that it shall render vengeance and revenge till thou, the lie giver, and that lie do lie in earth as quiet as thy father's skull. In proof whereof there is mine honor's pawn. Engage it to the trial if thou darest.
How fondly dost thou spur a forward horse! If I dare eat or drink or breathe or live, I dare meet Surrey in a wilderness and spit on him, whilst I say he lies and lies and lies. There is my bond of faith, to try thee to my strong correction, as I do live to thrive in this new world. Ormerle is guilty of my true appeal. Besides, I heard the banished Norfolk say that thou, Ormerle, didst send 2 of thy men to execute the noble Duke at Calais.
Some honest Christian, trust me with a gage that Norfolk lies. Here do I throw down this, if he may be repealed to try his honor.
These differences shall all rest under gage. Till Norfolk be repealed, repealed he shall be. And though mine enemy restored again to all his lands and seigneuries when he's returned, against Ormerle we will enforce his trial.
That honorable day should ne'er be seen. Many a time had banished Norfolk, fought for Jesu Christ in glorious Christian field, streaming the ensign of the Christian cross against black pagans, Turks and Saracens, and toiled with works of war, retired himself to Italy, and there at Venice gave his body to that pleasant country's earth, and his pure soul unto his captain Christ, under whose colours he had fought so long.
Why, Bishop, is Norfolk dead?
As sure as I live, my lord.
Sweet peace conduct his sweet soul to the bosom of good old Abraham. Lords, appellants, your differences shall all rest under gage till we assign you to your days of trial.
Enter York.
Great Duke of Lancaster, I come to thee from plume-plucked Richard, who with willing soul adopts the heir, and his high scepter yields to the position of his royal hand. Ascend his throne, descending now from him, and long live Henry, of that name the fourth.
In God's name, I'll ascend the regal throne.
Marry, heaven forbid. Worst in this royal presence may I speak, yet best beseeming me to speak the truth. Would God that any in this noble presence were enough noble to be upright judge of noble Richard? Then true nobleness would learn him forbearance from so foul a wrong. What subject can give sentence on his king? And who sits here that is not Richard's subject? Thieves are not judged, but they are by to hear, though apparent guilt be seen in them. Shall the figure of God's majesty, his captain, steward, deputy elect, anointed, crowned, planted many years, be judged by subject and inferior breath, and he himself not present? Oh, God forbid it. God, that in a Christian climate souls refined should show so heinous, black, obscene a deed. I speak to subjects, and a subject speaks, stirred up by heaven, thus boldly for his king. My lord of Hereford here, whom you call king, is a foul traitor to proud Hereford's king. And if you crown him, let me prophesy, the blood of English shall manure the ground, and future ages groan for his foul act. Peace shall go sleep with Turks and infidels, and in this seat of peace tumultuous wars shall kin with kin and kind with kind confound. Disorder, horror, fear, and mutiny shall here inhabit, and this land be called the field of Golgotha and dead men's skulls. Oh, if you rear this house against his house, it will the woefulest division prove that ever fell upon this cursed earth. Prevent it, resist it, and let it not be so, lest child's children cry against you woe.
Well have you argued, sir. And for your pains of capital treason, we arrest you here. My Lord of Westminster, be it your charge to keep him safely till his day of trial. May it please you, lords, to grant the common suit.
Fetch hither Richard, that in common view he may surrender, so we shall proceed without suspicion.
I will be his conduct.
Lords, you that are here under our arrest, procure your sureties for your days of answer. Little are we beholding to your love, and little looked for at your helping hands.
Enter Richard and York.
Black, why am I sent for to a king before I have shook off the regal thoughts wherewith I reigned? I hardly yet have learned to insinuate, flatter, bow, and bend my knee. Give sorrow leave a while to tutor me to this submission. And yet I well remember the favors of these men. Are they not mine? Did they not sometime cry, all hail to me? Though Judas did to Christ, but he in 12 found truth in all but one. I, in 12,000, none. God save the king. Will no man say amen? Am I both priest and clerk? Well then, amen. God save the king. Although I be not he, yet amen, if heaven do think in me. To do what service am I sent for hither?
To do that office of thine own good will, which tired majesty did make thee offer, the resignation of thy state and crown to Henry Bolingbroke.
Give me the crown. Here, cousin, seize the crown. Here, cousin. On this side my hand, and on that side thine. Now is this golden crown like a deep well that owes two buckets filling one another, the emptier ever dancing in the air, the other down unseen and full of water. That bucket down and full of tears am I, drinking my griefs whilst you mount up on high.
I thought you had been willing to resign.
My crown I am, but still my griefs are mine. You may my glories and my state depose, but not my griefs. Still am I king of those.
Part of your cares you give me with your crown.
Your cares set up, do not pluck my cares down. My care is loss of care by old care done. Your care is gain of care by new care won. The cares I give, I have, though given away. They tend the crown, yet still with me they stay.
Are you contented to resign the crown?
Aye. No. No, aye. But I must nothing be. Therefore, no, but I resign to thee. Now mark me how I will undo myself. I give this heavy weight from off my head, and this unwieldy scepter from my hand, pride of kingly sway from out my heart. With mine own tears I wash away my balm, with mine own hands I give away my crown, with mine own tongue deny my sacred state, with mine own breath release all duteous oaths, all pomp and majesty I do forswear. My manners, rents, revenues I forego. My acts, decrees, and statutes I deny. God, pardon all oaths that are broke to me. God, keep all vows unbroke are made to thee. Make me, that nothing have, with nothing grieved, and thou with all pleased thou hast all achieved. Long mayest thou live in Richard's seat to sit, and soon lie Richard in an earthy pit. God save King Henry, unkinged Richard says, and send him many years of sunshine days. What more remains?
No more, but that you read these accusations and these grievous crimes committed by your person and your followers against the state and profit of this land, that by confessing them the souls of men may deem that you are worthily deposed.
Must I do so? And must I rabble out my weaved up follies? Gentle Northumberland, if thy offences were upon record, would it not shame thee in so fair a troop to read a lecture of them? If thou wouldst, there shouldst thou find one heinous article containing the deposing of a king and cracking the strong warrant of an oath, marked with a blot, damned in the book of heaven. Nay, all of you that stand and look upon me, whilst that my wretchedness doth bait myself, though some of you with Pilate wash your hands, showing an outward pity, yet you pilots have here delivered me to my sour cross, and water cannot wash away your sin.
My lord, dispatch, read o'er these articles.
Mine eyes are full of tears, I cannot see. And yet salt water blinds them not so much, but they can see a sort of traitors here. Nay, if I turn mine eyes upon myself, I find myself a traitor with the rest. But I have given here my soul's consent to undeck the pompous body of a king, made glory base and sovereignty a slave, proud majesty a subject, state a peasant.
My lord.
No lord of thine, thou haught insulting man, nor no man's lord. I have no name, no title, no, not that name was given me at the fonts, but 'tis usurped. Alack, the heavy day, that I have worn so many winters out, and know not now what name to call myself. Oh, that I were a mockery king of snow, standing before the sun of Bolingbroke, to melt myself away in water drops. Good king, great king, and yet not greatly good. And if my word be sterling yet in England, let it command a mirror hither straight, that it may show me what a face I have, since it is bankrupt of his majesty.
Go, some of you, and fetch a looking glass.
Read o'er this paper while the glass doth come.
Beams that torments me ere I come to hell.
Urge it no more, my lord Northumberland.
The commons will not then be satisfied.
They shall be satisfied. I'll read enough when I do see the very book indeed where all my sins are written. That's myself.
Enter one with the glass.
Give me the glass, and therein will I read. No deeper wrinkles yet. Hath sorrow struck so many blows upon this face of mine, and made no deeper wounds? Oh, flattering glass, like to my followers in prosperity, thou dost beguile me. Was this face, the face that like the sun did make beholders wink? Was this, was this face the face that every day under his household roof did keep 10,000 men? Was this the face that like the sun did make beholders wink? Is this the face which faced so many follies, and that was at last outfaced by Bolingbroke? A brittle glory shineth in this face, as brittle as the glory is the face, but there it is, cracked in 100 shivers. Mark, silent king, the moral of this sport. How soon my sorrow hath destroyed my face.
The shadow of your sorrow hath destroyed the shadow of your face.
Say that again. The shadow of my sorrow? Let's see. Oh, 'tis very true. My grief lies all within, and these external manners of laments are merely shadows to the unseen grief that swells with silence in the tortured soul. There lies the substance, and I thank thee, King, for thy great bounty, that not only givest me cause to wail, but teachest me the way how to lament the cause. I'll beg one boon and then be gone, and trouble you no more. Shall I obtain it?
Name it, fair cousin.
Fair cousin? I am greater than a king. For when I was a king, my flatterers were then but subjects. Being now a subject, I have a king here to my flatterer. Well, being so great, I have no need to beg.
Yet ask.
And shall I have?
You shall.
Then give me leave to go.
Whither?
Whither you will, so I were from your sights.
Go, some of him. Go, some of you. Convey him to the tower.
Oh, good, convey. Conveyors are you all that rise thus nimbly by a true king's fall.
On Wednesday next, we solemnly set down our coronation. Lords, prepare yourselves.
All exit.
A woeful pageant have we here beheld.
The woes to come, the children yet unborn, shall feel this day as sharp to them as thorn.
You, holy clergyman, is there no plot to rid the realm of this pernicious blot?
Before I freely speak my mind herein, you shall not only take the sacrament to bury mine intents, but also to effect whatever I shall happen to devise. I see your brows are full of discontent, your heart of sorrow, and your eyes of tears. Come home with me to supper, I'll lay a plot, shall show us all a merry day.
Don't. Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Queen and ladies.
Away to Julius Caesar's ill-erected tower, to whose flint bosom my condemned lord is doomed a prisoner by proud Bolingbroke. Here let us rest, if this rebellious earth have any resting for her true king's queen.
Entered Richard and guard.
But soft, but see, or rather do not see, my fair rose wither. Yet look up, behold, that you in pity may dissolve to dew, and wash him fresh again with true love's tears. And thou, the model where old Troy did stand, thou map of honor, thou King Richard's tomb, and not King Richard, thou most beauteous inn, why should hard favored grief be lodged in thee, when triumph has become an alehouse guest?
Joy not with grief, fair woman. Do not so to make my end too sudden. Learn, good soul, to think our former state a happy dream, from which awaked the truth of what we are shows us but this. I am a sworn brother sweet, grim necessity, and he and I will keep a league till death. Hie thee to France, and cloister thee in some religious house. Our holy lives must win a new world's crown, which our profane hours here have stricken down.
What? Is my Richard both in shape and mind transformed and weakened? Hath Bolingbroke deposed thine intellect? Hath he been in thy heart? The lion dying, thrusteth forth his paw, and wounds the earth, if nothing else, with rage to be overpowered. And wilt thou, pupa-like, take thy correction mildly, kiss the rod, and fawn on rage with base humility, which art a lion and a king of beasts?
A king of beasts, indeed. If aught but beasts, I had been still a happy king of men. Good sometime, queen, prepare thee hence for France. Think I am dead, and that even here thou takest, as from my deathbed, my last living leave. In winter's tedious nights, sit by the fire with good old folks, and let them tell thee tales of woeful ages long ago betid. And ere thou bid good night, to quit their grief, tell thou the lamentable fall of me, and send the hearers weeping to their beds. For why? The senseless Brahms will sympathize the heavy accent of thy moving tongue, and in compassion weep the fire out. And some will mourn in ashes, some coal black for the deposing of a rightful king.
Enter Northumberland.
My lord, the mind of Bolingbroke has changed. You must to Pomfret, not into the tower. And madam, there is order taken for you. With all swift speed, you must away to France.
Northumberland, thou ladder wherewithal the mounting Bolingbroke ascends my throne. The time shall not be many hours of age, more than it is, ere foul sin, gathering head, shall break into corruption. Thou shalt think, though he divide the realm and give thee half, it is too little helping him to all. He shall think that thou which know'st the way to plant unrightful kings wilt know again, being ne'er so little urged another way, to pluck him headlong from the usurped throne. The love of wicked friends converts to fear, that fear to hate, and hate turns one or both to worthy danger and deserved death.
My guilt be on my head, and there an end. Take leave and part, for you must part forthwith.
Doubly divorced? Bad men, ye violate a twofold marriage, twixt my crown and me, and then betwixt my married wife. Let me unkiss the oath twixt thee and me, and yet not so, for with a kiss 'twas made. Oh, part us, Northumberland, I towards the north, where shivering cold and sickness pines the clime. My queen to France, from whence set forth in pomp, she came adorned hither like sweet May, sent back like hollow mass or shortest of day.
And must we be divided? Must we part?
Aye, hand from hand, my love, and heart from heart.
Banish us both, and send the king with me.
That were some love, but little policy.
Then whither he goes, thither let me go.
So two together weeping make one woe? Weep thou for me in France, I for thee here. Better far off than near. Be near than near. Go, count thy way with sighs, I mine with groans.
So longest way shall have the longest moans.
Twice for one step I'll groan, your way being short, and piece the way out with a heavy heart. Come, come, in wooing sorrow let's be brief, since wedding it there is such length in grief. One kiss shall stop our mouths, and dumbly part. Thus give I mine, and thus I take thy heart.
Give me mine own again. 'Twere no good part to take on me to keep and kill thy heart. So now I have mine own again. Be gone, that I may strive to kill it with a groan.
We make woe wanton with this fond delay. Once more adieu, the rest let sorrow say.
Excellent. Second scene, enter York and his Duchess.
My lord, you told me you would tell the rest when weeping made you break the story off of our two cousins coming into London.
Where did I leave?
At that sad stop, my lord, where rude misgoverned hands from windows' tops threw dust and rubbish on King Richard's head.
Then, as I said, the Duke, great Bolingbroke, mounted upon a hot and fiery steed, which his aspiring rider seemed to know, with slow, but stately pace kept on his course, while all tongues cried, God save thee, Bolingbroke! You would have thought the very windows spake, so many greedy looks of young and old through casements darted their desiring eyes upon his visage, and that all the walls with painted imagery had said at once, Jesus preserve thee, welcome Bolingbroke. Whilst he from one side to the other turning, bareheaded, lower than his proud steed's neck, bespake them thus, I thank you, countrymen, and thus still doing, thus he passed along.
Alas, poor Richard, where rides he while he the whilst?
As in a theatre, the eyes of men after a well-graced actor leaves the stage are idly bent on him that enters next, thinking his prattle to be tedious. Even so, or with much more contempt, men's eyes did scowl on Richard. No man cried, God save him. No joyful tongue gave him his welcome home, but dust was thrown upon his sacred head, with which such gentle sorrow he shook off, his face still combating with tears and smiles the badges of his grief and patience, that had not God, for some strong purpose, steeled the hearts of men, they must perforce have melted, and barbarism itself have pitied him. For heaven hath a hand in these events, to whose high will we bound our calm contents. To Bolingbroke are we sworn subjects now, whose state and honor eye for eye allow.
Here comes my son, Amerle.
Amerle that was, but that is lost for being Richard's friend. And madam, you must call him Rutland now. I am in Parliament pledge for his truth and lasting fealty to the new-made king.
Welcome, my son, who are the violets now that strew the green lap of the new-come spring?
Madam, I know not, nor I greatly care not. God knows I had as lief be none as one.
Well, bear you well in this new spring of time, lest you be cropped before you come to prime. What news from Oxford? Hold those justs and triumphs?
For aught I know, my lord, they do.
You will be there, I know.
If God prevent not, I purpose so.
What seal is that hangs about thy bosom? Yea, look thou's pale. Let me see the writing.
My lord, 'tis nothing.
No matter then who sees it, I will be satisfied. Let me see the writing.
I do beseech your grace to pardon me. It is a matter of small consequence, for which some reasons I would not have seen.
Which for some reasons, sir, I mean to see. I fear.
What should you fear? 'Tis nothing but some bond that he is entered into for gay apparel against the triumph.
Bound to himself? What doth he with a bond that he is bound to? Wife, thou art a fool. Boy, let me see the writing.
I do beseech you pardon me. I may not show it.
I will be satisfied. Let me see it, I say. Treason. Foul. Treason. Villain. Traitor. Slave.
What is the matter, my lord?
Oh, what's in here? Saddle my horse, heaven for his mercy. What treachery is here?
Why, what is it, my lord?
Give me my boots. I say, saddle my horse. Now by my honor, my life, my troth, I will impeach the villain.
What is the matter?
Peace, foolish woman.
I will not peace. What is the matter, son?
Good mother, be content. It is no more than my poor life must answer.
Thy life answer.
Bring me my boots. I will into the king.
Strike him, Amerle. Boy, you art amazed. Hence, villain, never more come in my sight.
Give me my boots, I say.
Why, Lord, what wilt thou do? Wilt thou not hide the trespass of thine own? Have we more sons? Or are we like to have? Is not my teeming date drunk up with time? And wilt thou pluck my fair son from mine age and rob me of a happy mother's name? Is he not like thee? Is he not thine own?
Thou fond, mad woman, wilt thou conceal his dark conspiracy? A dozen of them here have ta'en the sacrament and interchangeably set down their hands to kill the king at Oxford.
He shall be none. We'll keep him here. Then what is that to him?
Away, fond woman. Were he 20 times my son, I would appeach him.
Hadst thou groaned for him, as I have done, thou wouldst be more pitiful. But now I know thy mind. Thou dost suspect that I have been disloyal to thy bed, and that he is a bastard and not thy son. Sweet York, sweet husband, be not of that mind. He is as like to thee as a man may be, not like to me nor any of my kin, and yet I love him.
Make way, unruly woman.
York exits.
After, Emerald, mount thee upon his horse, spur post, and get before him to the king, and beg thy pardon ere he do accuse thee. If not, be long behind, though I be old. I doubt not but to ride as fast as York, and never will I rise from the ground till Bolingbroke have pardoned thee. Away, be gone.
Exit. Act 5, Scene 3. Enter Bolingbroke, Percy, and other lords.
Can no man tell me of my unthrifty son? 'Tis full 3 months since I did see him last. If any plague hang over us, 'tis he. I would to heaven, my lords, he might be found. Inquire at London amongst the taverns there, for there they say he dally doth frequent with unrestrained loose companions, that even such, they say, as stand in narrow lanes and rob our watch and beat our passengers, which he, young wanton and effeminate boy, takes on the point of honor to support so dissolute a crew.
My lord, some 2 days since I saw the prince and told him of these triumphs held at Oxford.
And what said the gallant?
His answer was, he would unto the stews, and from the commonest creature pluck a glove and wear it as a favor, and with that he would unhorse the luckiest challenger.
As dissolute as desperate, yet through both, I see some sparks of better hope, which elder days may happily bring forth. But who comes here?
Sir Omerl.
Where is the king?
What means our cousin that he stares and looks so wildly?
God save your grace. I do beseech your majesty to have some conference with your grace alone.
Withdraw yourselves and leave us here alone. What is the matter with our cousin now?
Forever may my knees grow to the earth, my tongue cleave to my roof within my mouth, unless a pardon ere I rise or speak.
Intended or committed was this fault. If on the first, how heinous ere it be, to win thy after love, I pardon thee.
Then give me leave that I may turn the key, that no man enter till my tale be done.
Have thy desire.
Make way.
York from within.
My liege, beware, look to thyself, thou hast a traitor in thy presence there.
Villain, I'll make thee safe.
Stay thy revengeful hand, thou hast no cause to fear.
Open the door, secure, foolhardy king. Shall I for love speak treason to thy face? Open the door, or I will break it open.
Enter York.
What is the matter, uncle? Speak, recover breath. Tell us how near is danger, that we may arm us to encounter it.
Peruse this writing here, and thou shalt know the reason that my haste forbids me show.
Remember as thou readst thy promised pass. I do repent me, read not my name there. My heart is not confederate with my hand.
It was, villain, ere thy hand did set it down. I taught it from the traitor's bosom, king. Fear and not love begets his penitence. Forget to pity him, lest that pity prove a serpent that will sting thee to the heart.
Oh, heinous, strong and bold conspiracy. O loyal father of a treacherous son, thou sheer immaculate and silver fountain, from whence this stream through muddy passages hath his current and defiled himself. Thy overflow of good converts to bad, and thy abundant goodness shall excuse this deadly blot in thy digressing son.
So shall my virtue be his vice's bawd, and he shall spend mine honor with his shame, as thriftless sons their scraping father's gold. Mine honor lives when his dishonor dies, or my shamed life in his dishonor lies. Thou kill'st me in his life, giving him breath. The traitor lives, the true man's put to death.
Duchess
What
within.
ho, my liege, for heaven's sake, let me in.
But what shrill voiced suppliant makes this eager cry?
A woman, and thine aunt, great king, 'tis I. Speak with me, pity me, open the door. A beggar begs that never begged before.
Our scene is altered from a serious thing and now changed to the beggar and the king. My dangerous cousin, let your mother in. I know she's come to pray for your foul sin.
If thou do pardon whatsoever pray, more sins for his forgiveness prosper may. This festered joint cut off, the rests sound. This let alone will all the rest confound.
Dear Duchess.
O king, believe not this hard-hearted man. Love, loving not itself, none other can.
Thou frantic woman, what dost ye make here? Shall thy old dogs once more a traitor rear?
Sweet York, be patient. Hear me, gentle liege.
Rise up, good aunt.
Not yet, I thee beseech, forever will I kneel upon my knees, and never see day that the happy sees, till thou give joy, until thou bid me joy. By pardoning Rutland, my transgressing boy.
Unto my mother's prayers I bend my knee.
Against them both my true joints bended be.
Pleads he in earnest? Look upon his face. His eyes do drop no tears. His prayers are in jest. His words come from his mouth, ours from our breast. He prays but faintly and would be denied. We pray with heart and soul and all beside. His weary joints would gladly rise. I know our knees shall kneel till the ground they grow. His prayers are full of false hypocrisy, ours of true zeal and deep integrity. Our prayers do outpray his, then let them have the mercy which true prayers ought to have.
Good aunt, stand up.
Nay, do not say stand up, but pardon first, and afterwards stand up. And if I were thy nurse, thy tongue to teach, pardon should be the first word of thy speech. I never longed to hear a word till now. Say pardon, king. Let pity teach thee how. The word is short, but not so short as sweet. No word like pardon for kings' mouths to meet.
Say it in French, king. Say pardonne-moi.
Dost thou teach pardon? Pardon to destroy? Oh, my sour husband, my hard-hearted lord, that sets the word itself against the word. Speak pardon as 'tis current in our land. The chopping French we do not understand. Thine eye begins to speak, set thy tongue there. Or in thy piteous heart, plant thou thine ear, that hearing how our plants and prayers do pierce, pity may move thee, pardon to rehearse.
Good aunt, stand up.
I do not sue to stand. Pardon is all the sweet I have in hand.
I pardon him, as heaven shall pardon me.
Oh, happy vantage of a kneeling knee. Yet I am sick of fear. Speak it again. Twice saying pardon doth not pardon twain, but makes one pardon strong.
I pardon him with all my heart.
A God on earth thou art.
But for our trusty brother-in-law, the abbot, with all the rest of that consorted crew, destruction straight shall dog them at the heels. Good uncle, help to order several powers to Oxford, where'er these traitors are. They shall not live within this world, I swear, but I will have them if I once know where. Uncle, farewell, and cousin, adieu. Your mother hath well prayed, and prove you true.
Duchess. Alexandra.
Yeah, I'm done. That's it.
No, there's one more.
Oh,
line.
come, my old son. I pray heaven make thee new.
Exit. 5-4. Enter Sexton. I'm sorry, Exton and servants. Sir Pierce Exton and his 2 servants.
Didst thou not mark the king what words he spake? Have I no friend will rid me of this living fear? Was't not so?
Those were his very words.
Have I no friend, quoth he. He spake it twice, and urged it twice together, did he not?
He did.
And speaking it, he wistly looked on me, as who should say, I would thou wert the man that would divorce this terror from my heart, meaning the king at Pomfret. Come, let's go. I am the king's friend, and will rid his foe.
Exit. Scene 4. Enter Richard.
Been studying. Wait a minute, it says I'm muted.
You're no longer muted.
Okay. I have been studying how I may compare this prison where I live unto the world. For because the world is populous, and here there's not a creature but myself, I cannot do it. Yet I'll hammer it out. My brain, a female to my soul the father, and these two beget a generation of still breathing thoughts, and these same thoughts people this little world in humors like the people of this world, for no thought is contented. The better sort, as thoughts of things divine, are intermixed with scruples, and do set the faith itself against the faith. As thus, come, little ones. And then again, it is as hard to come as for a camel to thread the posture of a needle's eye. Thoughts tending to ambition, they do plot unlikely wonders. How these vain, weak nails may tear a passage through the flinty ribs of this hard world, my ragged prison walls. And for they cannot die in their own pride. Thoughts tending to content flatter themselves that they are not the first of fortune's slaves, nor shall not be the last. Like silly beggars who see in the stocks refuge their shame that many have and others must sit there. And in this thought they find a kind of ease, bearing their own misfortune on the back of such as have before endured the like. Thus play I in one prison many people, and none contented. Sometimes am I king, and treason makes me wish myself a beggar. And so I am, and crushing penury persuades me I was better when a king. Then am I kinged again, and by think that I am unkinged by Bolingbroke. And straight am nothing, but whate'er I am, nor I nor any man that but man is, with nothing shall be pleased till he be eased with being nothing. Music do I hear? Oh, keep time. Oh, how sour sweet music is when time is broken, no proportion kept. And so is it in the music of men's lives. And here have I the daintiness of ear to hear time broken, a disordered string, but for the concord of my state and time, had not an ear to hear my true time broke. I wasted time, and now doth time waste me. But now hath time made me his numbering clock. My thoughts are minutes, and with sighs they jar their watches on unto mine eyes, the outward watch, whereto my finger, like a dial's point, is pointing still and cleansing them from tears. Now, sir, the sound that tells what hour it is are clamorous groans that strike upon my heart, which is the bell. So sighs and tears and groans show minutes, hours, and times. But my time runs posting on in Bolingbroke's proud joy, while I stand fooling here his jack of the clock. This music mads me, let it sound no more. For though it have helped madmen to their wits, in me it seems it will make wise men mad. Yet blessing on his heart that gives it me. But it is a sign of love, and love to Richard is a strange brooch in this all-hating world.
Enter groom.
Hail, hail, royal prince.
Oh, thanks, noble peer. The cheapest of us is 10 groats too dear. What art thou, and how comest thou hither? Where no man ever comes but the sad dog that brings me food to make misfortune live.
I was a poor groom of thy stable, king, when thou wert king, who traveling towards York with much ado, at length have gotten leave to look upon my sometimes royal master's face. Oh, how it yearned my heart when I beheld in London streets that coronation day when Bolingbroke rode on roan Barbary, that horse that thou so often hast bestride, that horse that I so carefully have dressed.
Rode he on Barbary? Tell me, gentle friend, how went he under him?
So proudly, as if he had disdained the ground.
So proud that Bolingbroke was on his back. That jade hath eat bread from my royal hand. This hand hath made him proud with clapping him. Would he not stumble? Would he not fall down, since pride must have a fall, and break the neck of that proud man that did usurp his back? Forgiveness, horse, why do I rail on thee, since thou, created to be awed by man, wast born to bear? I was not made a horse, and yet I bear a burden like an ass. Spur galled and tired by jaunting Bolingbroke.
Enter keeper with a dish.
Fellow, give place. Here's no longer stay.
Thou love me, 'tis time thou wert away.
What my tongue does not, that my heart shall say.
Groom exit.
My lord, will please you to fall to?
Taste of it first, as thou wert wont to do.
My lord, I dare not. Sir Piers of Exton, who lately came from the king, commands the contrary.
Devil take Henry of Lancaster in thee. Patience is stale, and I am weary of it.
Help, help, help!
How now, what means death in this rude assault? Villain, thine own hand yields thy death instruments. Go thou and fill another room in hell. That hand will burn in never-quenching fire, that staggers thus my person. Extant, thy fierce hand hath with the king's blood stained the king's own land. Mount, mount, my soul, thy seat is up on high, whilst my gross flesh sinks downward here to die.
As full of valor as of royal blood, both have I spilt. Oh, would the deed were good! For now the devil that told me I did well says that this deed is chronicled in hell. This dead king to the living king out there. Take hence the rest, and give them burial here.
Scene 5. Flourish. Enter Bolingbroke, York, with other lords in attendance.
Kind Uncle York, the latest news we hear is that the rebels have consumed with fire our town of Cister in Gloucestershire, but whether they be ta'en or slain, we hear not. Welcome, my lord. What is the news?
First to thy sacred state wish I all happiness. The next news is I have to London sent the heads of Salisbury, Spencer, Blunt, and Kent. The manner of their taking may appear at large discoursed in this paper here.
We thank thee, gentle Percy, for thy pains, and to thy worth will add right worthy gains.
Enter Fitzwaters.
My lord, the king I have from Oxford sent to London the heads of Brocas and Sir Bennet Seeley, two of the dangerous consorted traitors that sought in at Oxford thy dire overthrow.
Thy pains, Fitzwaters, shall not be forgot. Right noble is thy merit, well I wot.
Enter Percy and Carlisle.
The grand conspirator, abbot of Westminster, with clog of conscience and sorrow melancholy, hath yielded up his body to the grave. But here is Carlisle, living to abide the kingly doom and sentence of his pride.
Carlisle, this is your doom. Choose out some secret place, some reverend room, more than thou hast, and with it joy thy life. So as thou livest in peace, die free from strife. For though mine enemy, thou hast ever been, high sparks of honor in thee have I seen.
Exton with coffin.
Great king, within this coffin I present thy buried fear. Herein, all breathless, lies the mightiest of thy greatest enemies, Richard of Bordeaux, by me hither brought.
Exton, I thank thee not, for thou hast wrought a deed of slaughter with thy fatal hand upon my head and all this famous land.
From your own mouth, my lord, did I this deed.
They love not poison that do poison need, nor do I thee, though I did wish him dead. I hate the murderer, love him murdered. The guilt of conscience take thou for thy labor, but neither my good word nor princely favor. With Cain go wander through the shade of night, and never show thy head by day nor light. Lords, I protest, my soul is full of woe, that blood should sprinkle me to make it grow. Come mourn with me, for that I do lament, and put on sullen black incontinent. I'll make a voyage to the Holy Land, to wash this blood from off my guilty hand. March sadly after, grace my mourning here, in weeping after this untimely bier.
Yay. Well done, everyone. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas and maybe and everybody.
Thank you, Jonathan.
And
Thanks for organizing. Stay safe.
I'm going
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, well, thank you all. We have some attendees as well. I'm going to promote them all to panelists in case they have anything to say or any questions to ask or anything like that. But Jonathan, is there anything else you'd like to say here?
I should have said this before, but apparently this is the only play by Shakespeare written in verse.
Completely, yeah.
Not totally, but a lot.
A lot of rhyming couplets. Tons of rhyming couplets. It's almost very difficult to do. The scene between the Queen and Richard reminded me of the player Queen in Hamlet. Oh, you know, that love thing. So reminded me of that. It's a difficult play.
It's an amazing play, and I'm surprised it's not done more. In my opinion, it's a much stronger play than Richard III, which is done all the time.
Absolutely, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
which is exquisite.
That was quite a marathon, Thomas.
It was a marathon.
Yeah.
Thank you, great job. Exhausted. Thank you, Jonathan, for asking me.
You're welcome. Pleasure to hear you. Pleasure to hear everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, really great. And, Thomas, so I'm so glad you got to do this because I know this was a role you wanted to do. How do you feel having had the chance to do it?
Oh, no, it was great, you know. Some of the monologues just brought back memories from years ago. I love the play. I really do. I think it's one of his best, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I love the roles.
It has some really iconic moments, like Let Us Sit Down and The Death of Kings.
You know, he's quite a character, and you know.
It is so beautiful. And it's so interesting, though, that it's like you almost sort of feel, this is one of the things I've had a problem with it in production, is that why doesn't Richard say, okay, I'm king, you're Duke of Lancaster, that's it. But but it's sort of like that Richard kind of sort of like, well, all right, I give up. You know, what did you, how did you feel about that going through that bit, Thomas? What did that?
You know, the character is just so emotional in so many ways, you know, and
Yeah.
kissing the earth and all of that, and you know, little things like that, like in that last speech where he's in his cell, and you know,
Yeah.
Richard makes so many mistakes. He really brings this upon himself.
Yeah.
Well, that's why what's so great about, like, it's Richard III is a cartoon villain. This is very complex characters and like people. There are no clear villains and no clear heroes. It's very ambiguous, like life.
And as Prospero got sucked into his books, Richard gets sucked in with his sycophants. I mean, even Gaunt makes that point very early on. He's allowing himself to be dragged into strange places by all these young men who are out for who knows what.
Of the history plays that I know, this is the least painful, other than Henry IV.
Least painful. Bye, all. It was a pleasure.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank
you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
See you. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Wash your hands.
You too. Stay safe.
Jonathan, you did that. You
I think
read.
it's still sunny outside.
You
Enjoy the
read
afternoon,
that
except
the
for
entrance.
Angus, of course.
Jonathan, you read the entrance and the exit. That's so helpful. It gives like just a couple second break so we can carry on the flow of the story so well. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We haven't done that before, but if you think it's a good idea, we should continue doing it.
Yeah, this is such a wonderful
Next
idea.
time, I will have trumpet music at the ready and flourishing. Just with my telephone, it's easy enough to have any kind of music you want. I'm a poor substitute for a trumpet, but I tried.
Thank you.
It's always a problem with the histories because there's so many people coming and going. And
Yes,
everybody's reading
yes,
more than
makes your head
one.
hurt. But
yeah, there was another company who was doing readings that they did the stage directions, and it did help.
I think Henry VI is the one that was the one that my head hurts.
Yeah.
So speaking of heads, hats off to Paul for subscribing to Zoom and to becoming a Zoom master and bringing people in from all over the globe.
Yeah, it's really great to have this. It's great to have Angus back again from the very first, and a lot of other people have been doing it for quite some time, and newcomers as well. So this is
when I moved out of Manhattan to Beacon, it got difficult to get back in a lot of the time to do this. But now I'm in London and I can do them. That's great.
Great.
Well,
hey,
for most of
all right.
Thank you, Angus, and
my pleasure.
Good night, Angus.
Yeah, I've got grandkids.
I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jonathan.
Jonathan, for putting this together. Thank you, everybody, and take care. And yeah, I'll be sending out more emails in terms of the other stuff as we work out the schedule for everything.
Missy, thank you for your kind words.
One announcement. The Globe will be presenting The Two Noble Kinsmen on May the 4th at, I believe, 2 p.m. New York time on YouTube.
And let me see, what is the company in Canada? Stratford. The next
Antony and Cleopatra.
I thought it was Coriolanus this Thursday.
Oh, I'm thinking of the National Theater. Let me see.
This is on YouTube.
That's right. They're all on YouTube. Here
well, Stratford from Ontario, Canada will be Coriolanus on Thursday, I think.
Okay. Tuesday,
bye, everybody.
Monday the 4th is the Noble Kinsman. Antony and Cleopatra is Thursday the 7th. Also on the 7th from Stratford Festival is Macbeth.
Yeah. If you go on to anybody who's running on a VPN who can log into the UK and to the BBC iPlayer, they've got Culture in Quarantine.
Yeah,
and
but
a lot of the RSC productions are on that.
Yeah. But unfortunately, you can get the audio here in the United States, but you can't get the video.
If you're on a VPN, you can get video.
Oh, really?
You should be able to, because I mean, you just tell the VPN to log you in to a site in England, and then the BBC can't tell.
What is VPN? How do you do that?
Virtual private network. There are a number of them. NordVPN. There's all sorts of them. They cost a bit, but it means you can log into any country pretty much. And no matter where you're coming from, as far as the person you're logging into, it looks like you're coming from that particular country.
I see. Well, that's, I've learned something.
Yeah, and digitaltheatre.com, as I told you,
Yes, you did.
Jonathan, has got a lot of the old Globe shows.
Yes.
Yeah, in China, they couldn't get anything from USA, so they use VPN to get some kind of like news or the truth or the story from USA. That's web.
Right. That's right. It works both ways. I can't log into my banking stuff in the States unless I use the VPN, because it says you're coming from the wrong country, you know. So I use my VPN to log into the States network.
So do you pay for a VPN? Who provides it?
Yeah, NordVPN, which is one of the better ones, has got a pretty good deal. It's about 80 or 90 pounds or dollars or something like that for 3 years worth. Did you
say Lord?
Nord, N-O-R-D VPN.
NordVPN.
The big advantage of them is they're secure end to end. They encrypt everything from you to where you're going. So they're actually very secure as well. So you get, and all these crowds in the States that want to access all your internet, they can't do it because they can't crack the encryption.
Sounds worth it.
Oh yeah.
I think some the VPN in China, they don't charge you anything. But then you use some time and then you're dropped, and then use another one. There's always the new one comes in to accommodate you.
The cheaper ones tend to be a bit low speed and unstable. They come and go. If you pay for it, then you get a better service.
Well, a lot of people are hoping that the National Theatre will broadcast Benedict Cumberbatch in Hamlet on the free YouTube soon.
Oh yeah. Well, they've got at the moment they've got.
They already did One Man, Two Governors, and they've already done Twelfth Night and Frankenstein, both versions.
Yeah, they're on at the moment. I actually saw Twelfth Night live. It was dreadful.
Actually, I rather like this version.
Did you? Oh, I hated it.
I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks again. To you all.
So long.
Excellent
Thanks
job.
for talking, Jonathan. Great.
Thank you.
You all again. Thank you, Missy.
See you all next time.
Yes, next time.
See you in the Forest of Arden next Saturday.
Yeah, that should be good.
Great.
And I think I'll probably have to be singing all the songs because I think I'm the only one who knows the music as well as the lyrics.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We'll be
Thanks again, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you all for participating. Take care.